Les Nobodies presents Unica Monet's first children's book, Show and Tell. Find out what happens when a teacher uses Les Nobodies presents Unica Monet's first children's book, Show and Tell. Find out what happens when a teacher uses her class's show and tell time to give each student an opportunity to share some facts about the culture where they're from. Read with your children and discover that it is time for parents to teach young people early on that in diversity there is beauty and there is strength.
The winner of the Give It Up. The winner of the Give It Up for the year is Sunshine Monet.
Excuse me, give me that mic. Thank you. Anyway, first and foremost, I would like to thank myself for being amazing. Thank you, self. I would like to thank all the people I had to step on to get here, because you know, heat rises and a bitch is hot. I'm up to the top.
This will be gentrified. This will yeah.
Man, F them commercials. If they don't want to play, I don't want to play them. Peace, y'all.
Greetings. What's going on?
Nothing much. I'm doing the bonnet today, y'all. Don't judge me. That's how I feel.
I never could tell that was a bonnet.
Oh, good.
You gotta lean it to the side like a damn chef. Yeah. I'm happy to be here today. Of course, the research was always extensive. But I hate to mostly rely on Google for some of my resources, but it's all good because we don't have to rely on Google today because we got a special guest.
Yes, we do have a special guest coming on the page today. Today's episode is all about the pathway to sovereignty.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very excited about this episode because we did so much leading up to this episode as far as talking about lineage, and we started from the beginning or square one as everyone knows it or believes it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're here being present in this space. And what do we do now that we have all this knowledge of our lineage and now even came to the theory that we're possibly still under the Roman Empire?
Yeah.
And we want out.
Yeah, pretty much so. We want to go back to the beginning of time. We want to go back to how things used to be. Okay. Definitely wants to do that. So we want to go back to the times of Inky and Lil and and just, I don't know, be a part of our own, be a part of our own nations again. We'll be our own nations again. Be our own people again. We're not even our own people right now anymore.
Nope, we lost sight of our culture. Idris Elba said it best. I forgot what movie that was, but he was like, you forgot the face of your forefathers. But honestly, essentially, that's what happened. Forgotten the face of our forefathers, which has led us to the predicament that we are in now, where we don't, practice our religion, our traditions, our culture the way we once did. We kind of just do what other people,
tell us to do.
Yeah.
We're being bullied on a daily basis. I don't like to be bullied.
Mine either.
I don't like to be told what to do. I don't mind complying with law and order, but don't bully me, tell me what to do, make me work on your job and steal my money, tax me. Charge me just to live. Charge me just to live.
I'm glad that somebody is coming and to set some records straight because like you said there's not a lot of information out here, and I noticed that the Google results are kind of being played with. Like initially maybe a couple years ago when I was getting tied into like USAR and stuff, it was mad easy for me to Google this information, Google these people knowledge,
Mhm.
whatever. But today, no, I have to go all the way, which I don't mind. I'm not a lazy researcher, but to
Mhm.
those who are, you got to keep that in mind. Like a good 75 to 80% of people in this world are sheep. They
Mhm.
follow they follow the people that feed them. So, you have to go to page like 7 or page 8 to get the results that used to be on page 1 with the
Right.
Google search.
Exactly. Because all these advertised pages or all these more popular pages are always going to be the first ones to show up because they pay for that position.
Mhm.
Yep.
Definitely true. I looked up statelessness, not just like declaring your sovereignty, but I was trying to look up like different ways or different methods to go about, just trying to find your freedom, period, like altogether. And so I came to certain terms or, certain terms of things. You got dual citizenship, which I remember there was a period of time where Tina Turner was getting dual citizenship with Switzerland because Switzerland is a neutral state. They don't really like get into picking sides and
I
war
did
and
read
stuff too
about
much.
that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I remember when Ice Cube started this whole be a landlord in Ireland or Switzerland or somewhere over Greenland, somebody's land, being a landlord over there, which is
Mm-hmm.
essentially some level of dual citizenship.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned about, so with dual citizenship, I'm not I'm not sure. I guess you would have to follow the land of the laws in both places, but you have the power to go and do business and reside on both. Because usually, if you don't have a citizenship on a certain piece of land, like in a certain nation or whatever,
Right.
after a certain period of time, you have to leave. You
Right.
can't
An
really,
alien resident or
yeah,
something. Mm-hmm.
you can't really engage in commerce or receive a bunch of health care or apply for things if you want to reside on these lands. They kind of prevent you from doing that. So that was like the downfall with the dual citizenship, but like the uprising too. If you did like to, if you were, I would say that would be cool for like music artists if you did want to go, back and forth between doing business in US, because it seems like US is a really good place to be at if you're really into business.
Yeah.
Above all, like I wouldn't live here, but definitely do business here.
I
Get
want.
your money and then get the fuck out.
I never decided that I want to be a U.S. citizen and be up under these laws and these obligations that I was born into.
And
Okay.
that is a big, well, that is the majority speaking, that is the way people usually become citizenships of the United States. Is usually by family or by
Mm-hmm.
birth. Other ways you could
Mm-hmm.
become a citizen of a land is through marriage, which other countries do a lot, marrying people,
Mm-hmm.
naturalization if you're in the space for, a certain period of time. And investment or economics. So some people be buying their way into countries, which we see a lot, especially in politics here. A lot of these politicians buy their way into citizenship. I personally think Arnold Schwarzenegger is an example of that, but I mean, I don't know his personal business.
Well,
How do you
he
turn
had to
into
be a
a governor?
governor, so he had to have been a citizen of here. Um, so he's Americanized pretty much.
Yeah.
Uh, he just happened. He's a really good German American. They never call him German American though. They call him German. Where is he German?
I don't know what he is.
What is he?
I have no idea.
Mm.
It's something over there.
I know he was a. I know he went from damn wrestler, actor, government governor. You know what I'm saying? So anything's possible here in America. So, okay, I tell you that much. You have the Terminator become your governor.
Not the Terminator.
You know that's what we know him for. We ain't gonna call him nothing else, but he's always gonna. He's forever gonna be the Terminator. Sit.
True.
I hope y'all didn't hear that big gulp because I was thirsty.
I think, yeah, but like by family and by birth are big things. I know that's like the big foundation to claiming your sovereignty, because a lot of our family members were duped, don't know no better about what's going on the birth certificate and the social security card and things of that nature. I will say, like, when I had my youngest child, I did have at least enough knowledge to know that like there are things on the birth certificate and the social security card that like I don't want to be a part of, and I didn't want my children to be a part of. However, I did not have enough knowledge, and knowledge for me is security. If I don't have enough knowledge to be secure in something, I just went on ahead and signed it and was like, I can always undo this because I'm about to undo it for myself. And that was just my mentality with that. However, I don't touch neither one of my children's social security numbers or birth certificates for too much of anything.
For one, the signature line is not a signature line. It's words there. And
there are words there.
Those are words. Those are words. I'll tell you what the words say. If you can get a picture of a Googled PDF or what have you.
Okay.
That would help.
Let's see.
That's if it didn't change it.
All right, so this is what we got.
Yes. Now, if you zoom in, it says signature for you, indicating for you to sign it. Okay, with your signature there. Mm-hmm. But you can tell the line looks kind of squiggly. If you could zoom into the one where it says the John Q, whoever, or whatever.
John.
It was the one I was looking at on the right side, the big one.
Oh, the John Doe on this one?
It was the first one that was sitting there. Any one of them is fine that you can get blown up.
Oh, I see. That is not a straight line.
Yeah, it's not a straight line at all. It's words. I forgot what the words say on there, but I had posted like some information about it a long time ago. I'm thinking like probably 2013, 2014 on my other Facebook page or what have you. But yeah, it's why would you sign anything that you're unable to read? All we can read is signature though, and just we programmed to do what we're
wild.
told.
That never looked like that. Literally always just look, because the way the social security card looks, it looks dusty. It looks like an old piece of paper. So, it never clicked in my mind that
it's the same.
That wasn't a straight line.
Paper that money is made. It's the same paper money is made though as well, sis.
Money is dusty too.
It's the same fabric.
I hate touching money. That's like the dirtiest thing you could touch. It's crazy the spells they be putting on cards. That's crazy.
It's a whole spell
That's
right
what.
there, and everyone has signed it at least one time before. I
Yeah.
had my first Social Security card where I can barely, when I was a kid. My parents had me
Mhm.
write my full name out on it or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But since I came to adulthood and I looked at that and I did, a little digging or whatever, I never signed another one.
I still got the first one. I'm very particular about my stuff. I still got my first everything. I still got my first birth certificate. Well, at least the first one my mom gave me. It probably wasn't her first, but yeah, I got that. I got all that stuff. I've always been like crazy about papers and paperwork and all that fun stuff. I don't know why. But yeah, that's wild. I wonder what that says. Again, we're bringing a guest on this show because it was for a lot of reasons. One, I really did not feel comfortable giving this kind of information to people because I'm not that well versed in it. And even doing research,
Mm-hmm.
within, a few weeks span. And honestly, I've been researching this for a couple of years now, trying to get me and my sons on board. I understand the beginning process. It's just I don't feel comfortable enough talking about it with other people that are really coming onto the show and sitting in on the show this episode to, take notes and really get that knowledge. So I just it just felt like a lot of responsibility. I wasn't ready
Oh yeah, it,
to
it,
be
it is. You
honest.
got to give out the right information and everything. You just don't want to steer people in the wrong direction because you can be fined, you can go to jail. I was looking at YouTube videos of sovereign citizens, and a lot of the YouTube videos that you try to look at, they're talking about sovereign citizen fail, police makes arrest a sovereign citizen. It's so offensive, and
Hmm.
they make a joke out of it as well. So, and it's a very serious matter though. And there's a lot of people wondering how to get away from the U.S. authority of the U.S. government. We shouldn't have to be ruled by anyone.
If we don't
You
want to
know.
be. That was the whole point of, well, that's the whole point they claim these pilgrims came over here to begin with. And these, immigrants claim they came over here to begin with for freedom, for religious freedoms, which was something, when empires take over each other, which is something we learned in our previous episodes, the first things they do is, replace the literature and the religion. Because if you can control
Mm-hmm.
the mind, you can control the body.
Of course.
So, they needed to control the minds of the people so they can control the actions of the people. And that came with, demonizing the religions they already had. When they, was invading India, they made sure they demonized well, not paganism, but like Hinduism in the Bible. So now you got these, oh my goodness, you got these American Christians. It says it in the Bible, Hinduism
Mm-hmm.
and paganism, and blah, 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 blah. Bro, read the fucking room. This is during a time where this empire was taking over that empire, so of course they're going to demonize it in the book.
Right.
Oh my gosh, I can't with these people, especially when they come in my inbox. Listen, I am not the one. I respect everyone's religion. Don't come in my inbox trying to indoctrinate me because I'm getting to the point where I'm about to start hurting people's feelings. Like that's where I'm
Okay.
getting. The kindness, the smiling and nodding is getting real small with people because it just goes to show that like your energy awareness is close to none. And you obviously don't watch anything that I do. Otherwise you would
Mm-hmm.
know like my respect for all religions exists. But you gotta
Mm-hmm.
respect me too. Don't be in my inbox with that bullshit. It happens many times, especially when I do the planetary forecast and the hump day readings. Oh my gosh. Everybody kick rocks out
What?
my inbox. Everybody kick rocks out my inbox. But yeah, it's intentionally put in the Bible. As the Bible has been edited many,
Mm-hmm.
many, many times, as many, many different, empires got taken over. They made sure they demonized all these religions, all these practices. They even demonized the Netaru's in the Bible and try to make it seem like the Neteroos is about paganism, and it's not. All the Netters are inside of you. This is learning about the different levels of self, the different, facets of self, and embracing those things. A lot of different quotes that they claim Jesus said in the Bible. He never fucking said. I don't know. It's weird out here, but everything's in the Bible according to Christians. Whatever. I say, read the room. But yeah, so you have them, controlling the religion and controlling the paperwork. Like I find it very interesting. So I'll tell you a couple different facts that I researched from Britannica and study.com and I think it was something law.org or something. But the
Mhm.
first city states actually occurred in ancient Greece. This applied to property owners, but not so much women, slaves, or poor people. And Greek and Roman culture are the biggest influencers of American culture, which I also find very
Mhm.
funny. If Aboriginals were all over the world, why are you basing uh this country upon the practices of Greeks and Romans? I know why, but like, come on now. Nobody's thinking critically right now. I won't think critically for you. Um, Romans used it to separate conquered territories from Roman residents. So when they conquered new territories, those weren't necessarily citizens, which I also found interesting because in today, America, sets a lot of their practices based upon Greek and Romans, right? And also the
Mhm.
Nazis. And the Nazis and the way of the Germans at that era helped shape the school system and the prison system and a little bit of
Mm.
the economic system. Um, and it just made me think of those terms: Indian American, African American, whatever American. Whenever you say something and then put American at the end of it, that just made me think of how the Romans used that level of separatism to separate conquered territories from, actual. So that, like, you're a conquered territory. You are a territory. You are a person. You are a product, a good, and you also are a consumer. You're all these things. You're multifaceted in this country. So if I put, whatever American at it, I'm saying like America conquered this guy over here that, India had first or Africa had first. I'm not a big fan of the African American term. That is not fitting. I've never been in Africa. My lineage does not go back to Africa. We can do the DNA thing, but if you do the DNA thing with the understanding that we're all related in some type of way, shape, or form, it's also invalid. Also, if you're praising results of colonized lands, like, oh my gosh, like, can we think critically for like 5 seconds? Please don't
Everybody is
give
from West Africa, yo.
everybody's from
Everybody.
Cameroon.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Oh, Cameroon. At least you got Cameroon, because I get Ghana, Togo, or Togo or whatever. You know what I'm saying? We'll get that if we're darker skinned. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Everybody gets the same fucking results. They just get
White
different
and
percentage numbers to
European.
make you feel special. But
Hmm.
you're not special. They're literally, how can you give someone colonized land borders to tell them what their heritage is? That doesn't do me any good. I want to know what tribe I came from. I want to know about your colonized borders. You know how many people in one
They don't
country
care what tribe you came
alone,
from. They don't
right?
recognize tribes.
They don't
They take
recognize
over them.
tribes because they don't care to. They colonize the
Hmm.
tribes. So
Exactly.
why would they give us that level of liberation? They're not going to. So if you're like, I mean, I have people around me that are close to me that are like, Nika, don't piss on my flip flops. Okay, I'm not gonna piss on your flip flops, but you already know where I stand with that. Like, you gave your DNA to some strangers, and you're over here celebrating colonized borders. You already are part of a colonized border. So why are you like, listen, that shit does something to my spirit. But for those of you guys who are actually finding like family members and piecing together puzzle pieces to your, present day life, cool. I'm with the shits. Like, I have family that are looking for fathers. I have family members that are looking for mothers that are, looking, and when they put in their DNA, it kind of set them up with finding their actual physical lineage and stuff like that. Now that I could be quiet about. I'll be quiet and mind my business. But this whole over claiming colonized borders of Africa and Europe and shit, and we're allowing them. And then we had the labeling of the lands episode where we talked about, the Bible maps being weird, and them kind of lying about, the territories that Noah's, sons traveled to to make it seem like we all were just in this one pit of land, and we weren't. Because when you get into the way all the lands were one, it would make sense to have that mentality that we travel to more than just the African continent and the area, the armpit between Africa and Europe. Like that just doesn't make sense.
The
And
armpit.
nobody was just on the Western Hemisphere at all. Like,
Oh yeah, that wasn't discovered until 15 something something. And then when they
right,
got here, they discovered some people too.
right. So I'm not feeding into that nonsense, and I'm not feeding into you guys telling me I'm from more colonized borders across the oceans. Being present, I am an aboriginal to this land, not to this nation. This nation kiss my ass.
Oh yeah. I had when I was on Ancestry, I stumbled upon uh I couldn't find my people on my mother's side, that was a task right there. But I found people on my father's side of the family, and the deeper I dug, the more mothers I found, because a lot of your lineage comes from your mother's side, maternal side of the family. You know what I'm saying? We're giving birth, we're married into, that's how our last names are changing, what have you. So there's several last names different from Combs, of course. I couldn't find the Combs side, but I found a lot of my grandmother's side and all her father's people, and his mother's and all that, so on and so forth. And I noticed, like, when I looked at the actual copies of the census, because mind you, who were mainly taking information were the white folks, the colonizers. I could probably say it was probably zero to none of colored folks, like what it has right here on the death certificate of my great 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 grandmother, who were taking the
Mm.
census. So also, the point I'm getting to is they played with a lot of the wording with your race, color, because that was a vital piece of information they had to put on there. I noticed that it changed from early on from mulatto to colored at a certain point, like in the 50s or what have you, 60s, the Negro and Black, how we have it now, African American or Black or African American is where they interchange it though. But when I was looking further back before the mulatto, they were Cherokee, my great 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 grandfather or whatever. So, of course, naturally, he probably married another Cherokee woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Whether they were light, dark, or whoever, whatever, what I'm saying, just the word changing on the census with the birth certificates and death certificates or whatever, what I'm saying, really took away a lot of the identities of our people, is the point I'm making right here. So, along with that, which leads into this episode, because I recognize it when I was doing my research, I recognized that the federal government only recognizes tribal peoples, tribal sovereignty, or what have you, like the American Indians and Alaska Natives. That's it. All right, you Black, you're white, whatever, you can't be a sovereign citizen, or if that's the proper
Right.
terminology. Mm-hmm.
Right.
So,
And that's the thing that white people don't realize neither. Like, y'all ain't in no better spot calling yourselves fucking colors. You're in no better space than us. And that was the science. We talked about that. The science behind racism. Racism was, written on paper in discovery in 1775. And initially, its intent was to separate everybody, including the poor and the slaves. That means that, quote unquote, Black people and white people were enslaved together. We was in the same chain gang. And the mentality when the beginning of America, as we know it, in 1776, was, established, it was like, nah, we got to separate white and Black people even from the slave level. We don't give a fuck about them white slaves neither, or them white poor niggas, but we got to at least make them feel or think that they better than the Black ones. Otherwise, they're going to revolt against us with the Black people. And we can't have that,
right.
because there's a certain mentality that white people have that other white people
Mhm.
know they have, and they just not fucking with. See, it was
Exactly.
easy to break
Yeah,
us,
exactly.
you know, because
Mhm.
we were always, some of us was violent, but like how many violent native, like indigenous, native, aboriginal tribes did you read about? Niggas was crying when trees was getting burnt down and stuff. It wasn't that kind of vibe here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like it
weren't we
wasn't.
crying on the Trail of Tears?
Yeah, niggas always crying and singing songs and shit. Like y'all
Okay.
not built for this. But I know if these white people, these flugel rods, fucking align with y'all, and,
Mhm.
and if I know if these, Canaanites, the original ones from the Jovan
Mhm.
tribe, I know if they unite with y'all, like y'all is a force to be reckoned with. A beautiful
Mhm.
example that like touched me to my heart was when people was running through the Capitol building. I enjoyed seeing that.
Right.
I enjoyed seeing that because to me that was liberating. To me that
I was
was
like,
like
the
this is what
downfall
it
of the
looks like.
government has started.
What? That was like reading about the Tea Party. You hear me? Like I thought
Right.
that shit. Well, granted, I didn't really care about the Tea Party too much because they definitely was in blackface. Like that's fucked up. Y'all ain't had to do that shit in blackface. But
Oh
like
yeah, they dressed up as they had feathers in their
just like
head.
Indians.
Ooh, the history repeats itself every time. Whenever there's a
Every
protest,
time.
these people dressed in all black or whatever do all the rambling, the ransacking and stealing and all the break-ins and all that stuff. So yeah, they be on the
You know
rampage.
what, they did do that. They were in blackface wearing those really realistic masks.
Mhm,
There were some videos like that, like when we were doing the riots with the I Can't Breathe movement, which I fucking hated. Why are you telling
mhm.
people you can't breathe? What's wrong with
Y'all
y'all?
still, yeah, do you know what kind of spell that is?
Right, hands up, please don't. See, that's that Native American. I cry when the grass get cut into energy. I'm talking about y'all on y'all knees with y'all hands in the air, talking about something we can't breathe. What?
I can breathe. That person still ain't breathing, but I'm still
Y'all
gonna
need to be
breathe
in the
though.
streets marching. I'm gonna beat y'all ass. I'm gonna
Yeah.
beat that ass. I'm
Uh-huh.
gonna beat that ass. Like y'all chanting the
Mm-hmm.
wrong stuff out here.
Mm-hmm.
What is y'all doing?
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
ain't doing it right
Yeah,
out
and
here,
those
sis.
people be amongst those crowds all the time. They're the ones that start off the riot and shit, because a lot of black folks in them crowds are scared. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We ain't really bucking like that. There might be one or two people in the front. You know what I'm saying? Most of the time, it's our goddesses on the front line.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't gonna hold you
You saying the
because some of these
lies.
niggas are scary, right? You know what I'm
These
saying?
men will
But
hide
shit,
behind a skirt.
you see
I
that
mean, that's
damn
a
that smoke
representation
bomb
of
set up from
history,
the
though.
back? That's one of them other folks. That's one
Yeah,
of them other folks.
because they
They
got
do
the
this
heart
at
to do
every
it.
protest. Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
the power of unity, though. Come on, white folks. Come burn down these buildings because y'all got the heart to do it. We over here too busy worried about getting in
But
trouble.
we get blamed for it in the end, though. That's because they catch us going and still on the TV or whatever. They just when the news happen to get there, this is
Right.
not yours.
They always got the
You're just
camera
gonna
on
take
us.
this. I'm like, bruh, we ain't even break it. Everybody in here. Do you see all these niggas and fight folks?
Right. Y'all turn a blind eye to them acting a fool in Walmart on Black Friday, but y'all see
Thugs,
us over here looting because y'all shooting us in the street and it's a problem. Like, stop playing.
thugs,
Um,
thugs versus rioters,
for real.
protesters. Hmm. Yeah, the word the word is just the word is they use is just so crazy. They twist it
Mhm.
around. So that's the same thing they did on these birth certificates and these death certificates and in all the other history records. They remixing the words and stuff when it comes to us.
I'm
White
about to
people
get
always
into
been
the
white or Caucasian, Caucasoid. They've always in that.
Caucasus. Yeah. Yeah, so
Hmm.
they've always had a backup. They always had,
Hmm.
well, yeah, I guess if you put it that way, yeah, they always
Then
have
they'll only
like
let you
some
go
type of
so far
nation
back.
behind them. But what
Then they'll
nation do
only
you
let you
have
go
behind
so
yourself
far back.
calling yourself black?
Yeah. None.
And
You
I
don't
think
have no
of black,
power
I
behind
think of
that.
like black market, bootleg
If you could
movie.
find that you have connect lineage to a tribe going back, see, they stopped right there when it got to the Cherokee. They stopped right there when it got to the Cherokee part because it was Cherokee records. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
It was Cherokee records when it stopped at my great, 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 great granddaddy and grandmother or whatever. You know what I'm saying? We not mixed with Indian. We ain't got Indian in our family. We are the
We
Indian.
are Indians.
You
Yeah.
are the Indian.
My Nana will tell
Okay.
you in a heartbeat. She got the receipt. She got news articles because you know when we were born, you put it in the newspaper. That was
Yep.
before they did all of this. So you born, you get married, and you die. And sometimes when you have children, it'd be like the congratulator thing. All that was in the newspaper. So she
Yeah.
has those things. Yeah, we're the Indians. It was crazy because I won't
Yep. 'Cause
blame
my
the
dad
Wayne's
has a little
brothers.
piece right there from when I was born from the little newspaper article. They probably stopped it after a certain time in the 80s or 90s or so.
I was going to say that, like in the 80s or 90s, we
Mhm.
had this period of time where they would intentionally hire comedians and actors that their
Mhm.
skits and their bits were all about shaming us out of calling ourselves Indian. Spike Lee even had a excerpt in Crooklyn when old girl was like, I got Cherokee in my family, and they was making fun of her. This day, you don't never want to be black. Black people never want to be black. Why would you want to be black? That's not what. And that was the theme of the 90s. Every time somebody said, "Oh, I got Indian in my family," they were shamed. They
Mm.
were joked about. You don't never black people don't never want to be black. And it got to the point by the time we got to the 2000s, nobody even talked about being Cherokee anymore. Nobody talked about having Native American blood or anything. Like not to the extent that they were doing it prior to, like the Wayne's brothers were always making fun of girls with straight hair. I remember on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, they even had a few skits. Living single, oh, you got Indian in your family. Like it was a joke. It was a joke. Um,
Or it
very
was,
intentional.
or it was a
Very
status
intentional.
that you were higher than being black. You know what I'm saying?
But we are. That's
Mhm.
the thing. We
Mhm.
all are. So,
Mhm.
that is definitely that joke is a response of that crabs in a barrel type of mentality. Like,
Mhm.
no, you can't be better than being black because I don't think I'm better than being black.
Mhm.
Well, that's your problem. I hope one day you wake up better than black because
I
black
don't
is
want to just
not
be called black
where it's at.
because that leaves you questioning, like, where do you come from? Who are your peoples? Where do they come from? You know what I'm saying? Where do they come from? There's
Right,
no land of black.
right. There
There's
is
no
no
country
land of
called
black.
black.
There's no country called black. There's no black country out here. So
No land
before
for
we
the blacks.
before we bring this guest on, I just want to read off some books to y'all, so pull out your pen and paper right now. And yes, I will be making a reel of this to replay later. We
Yay,
at 38
yay.
seconds
Sunshine
and
with a list
38
of
minutes and
books.
15 seconds. So
Ah.
the books that I have, David E. Robinson is a big, big author in this realm. He has the books called The UCC Connection, Correct Your Political Status, Meet Your Strawman, Unrebuted Affidavits Stand as Truth, Give Yourself Credit, and Reclaim Your Sovereignty. All these books are written by David E. Robinson. You can find them on Amazon. They range from $5 to, I think the highest I saw was like 17. I didn't even see anything touching $20. Another book is called Nationality is the Order. That is from Don Keelan. And then, yeah, those are the books I got. This is another book that was given to me,
Mm-hmm.
Shasta Chakra DJ. I talk about him all the time, but it's
Okay.
called How to Outsmart the Credit Bureaus. And this is for those who, don't necessarily have to privatize yourself to do the stuff in here, but it's a really good book as far as like getting your credit in order, getting things off your credit, and really knowing the history of these credit bureaus, how they came to be, how they became legalized, and how to do all the little things that you guys see people doing on YouTube about writing off things and knowing that everything is already paid for here on this land, and et cetera, et cetera. And hopefully our guests will be able to like expound on that a little bit more. But this was a really
Mm.
good book. And this is written by the Credo Company.
Mm.
That is the publishing system. It doesn't really have one author name up there. So those are
Okay.
the books I have. I have certain like YouTube pages I be following. Um
There's one lady I had
what
looked at. She's a really good credit guru.
Credit
Forgot what her
Guru.
name. No, I forgot what her name was. Well, I was just saying she's a really great credit guru. I forgot
Oh,
what her name is. I think we followed her on our Virgo Virgin Talk page. I think I followed her on our Virgo Virgin Talk page. Um, she gives a lot of, you know, she gives a lot of free game out there.
yeah, it's a lot of people out there giving free game. Definitely,
I
Dane
like that.
Calloway. Yes, I appreciate it. YouTube is a very big space, for those of you guys who want to learn. I swear by Dane Calloway as far as teaching people about their lineage, being Native Americans or indigenous folks, however way you want to call it. Brother Sanchez, their joints are long as shit, but they definitely go in about the inner science, spiritual science and things like that. I also have Brother Panic, of course, him and his repost of Bobby Hemmett as far as spiritual science goes. The Nawapians. There's
Mm,
actually a Nawapian temple. See, I live in the state of New Jersey. My
mm-hmm.
girlfriend, my partner, she actually was telling me about a Nawapian temple up North Jersey. She actually received an award from them for something, and I definitely been trying to get tapped into that.
Oh, that's really dope.
Um,
Congratulations to her.
Yes, definitely well deserved. Shouts to Mahatma Starseed. And if you
Hey,
guys aren't tapped
Mahatma.
into her, yeah, JDL Enterprise. I
Hmm.
got my safe space certification from her organization. Very good organization to be in.
Yes,
Uh,
I wanted to get into that. You did tell me you were certified with that.
mm-hmm. It's a
Mm-hmm.
really good program. Appreciated it. But the
Mm-hmm.
Nuwapians is the big one. I would definitely get into that. That's where that's a lot of what we went through for our previous episodes with
Yes, we do.
Yakub and everything. That was the Nuwapian centered knowledge. For those of you guys who didn't know, I'm trying to scroll through here to see the other ones because there was a university up here that I was following for a long time. Dula Bay is another one. I want to say Noah. I want to say it was Noah Bay was his name. Uh, Once I go through this, I'll let our guest take the floor. We set it up.
Oh, Nuwap United Nuwapian Nation of Moors. They're
Yes,
here in Putnam County, Georgia. I didn't know that.
awesome.
Mm,
Children
mm.
of Light. Yeah, Children of Light 24 is another one. Um, Dang, what is the name of that university? No, it's not gonna pop up. And this brother, I've been following him for a couple years, and he really gets into like step by step. I think there's a brother, his name is Noah L. Jonah Bay. Jonah Bay, I follow on YouTube. He does step by step. It's a lot of back and forth.
Yamasi. I'm just looking at these different names.
Oh yeah,
What you
the
saying,
different native
sis?
tribes.
Well, the different names of these tribes: Yamasi, Native American Moors of the Creek Nation. Mm,
Yamasi,
mhm.
that's my maternal side, or
Oh
those
yeah,
are yeah.
that's dope.
Sirius Inner Temple is another YouTube page. It's not gonna pop up until later, and I'm be so hot.
Mhm.
We got Moorish American 720 degrees on YouTube. That's another one.
Mm.
Baltimore BALTI. Um, actually no,
Oh,
scratch that. Wrong page.
Baltimore.
No, don't. No, wrong page.
Oh,
Wrong page.
but they do have a temple there though.
Yeah, definitely. There's temples all over the place. Whether it's the
They don't have
MSTA.
one here in Columbus, Georgia though. I thought I seen something like
I
not
feel
too
like
far from
there
me.
are some in Georgia, and
There's one in
I would
Atlanta.
be
Yeah.
careful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a lot of different temples. I have heard some horror stories about people just joining anybody's temple and not really doing their due diligence, and it's been getting them into some big legal issues now, know that we are the generation that's breaking a glass ceiling. And we have seen historically what happens when our people break glass ceilings. Here comes the dogs and the water hoses and the handcuffs and the jail time. And now the police have more, money or funds to do this, do that, whatever the third. So be mindful that we are breaking a glass ceiling. Unity is key when doing so. So all of this division, I don't understand the purpose of it. Who's right, who's
Mm-hmm.
wrong. At the end of the day, we all want the same thing. So if we can't come together, then what are we doing? We just doing more bullshit. I'm over that too because I joined the MSTA in Philadelphia, the 11-1. I got not necessarily the legal citizenship that I see everybody on the internet doing, but I did stake my claim. I did go through the process in that temple, and being there and
Mm-hmm.
seeing the lack of unity even amongst the Moors within the temple. Not only that,
Mm.
but the fact that there's multiple temples in the city of Philadelphia and they
Mm.
can't even come together as one and then go outside of that and say like state to state and stuff like that really bothered me. So my message to all my Mobites, my Moors out there, like you can have your own personal ideals of the ways you want to do the temples and things. That's why we're tribal people. We're tribal people because we are different. We've
Mm-hmm.
never been monolithic. That's just it's just not realistic. We've never been monolithic and we're not going to start today. At the end of the day, unity is key to get this done. Unity is key to get this done. If you are not one with self,
Absolutely.
you're not going to be capable of being one in the temple, and you're not going to be capable of being one amongst all the temples. It's just not going to work. It's not going
Yeah.
to work. It starts
That-
with self.
Mm-hmm. I was just telling my kids they gotta get them chakras aligned.
Yeah. If
If
you're
they're
not aligned,
unbalanced,
all
and
you're
if
going
you
to do
got
is
a few
learn
of
how
them
to be blind.
unaligned, whatever, just think about it. You are your own world, okay? Your own universe, okay? So when something's is going on in this part of your body, it's going to affect another part of your body. You know what I'm saying? So you get all that right, and back together. You know what I'm saying? Your whole entire world ain't gonna be right. It went over their head a little bit, but they'll get it one of these days.
Hmm. Yeah, they're
Mm-hmm.
going to get it when it's time for them to get it. That's all.
Because then you
That's
affect other people's
all.
worlds and their universes. Then you inflict, what I'm saying, whatever, like saying it's cliche, hurt people or whatever. So
Exactly.
that's what you're
Exactly.
gonna do
That's
to the
why I
next.
do the energy awareness sessions because if you're aware of your energy, it helps you
Mm-hmm.
become more in alignment and aware with energies around you.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not gonna hold y'all too much
Mm-hmm.
longer because I know a lot of y'all are here to listen to this guest, as that's a big part why I'm here too. And hopefully she can
Oh
answer some
yeah,
questions for us.
I only came
Please make
today
sure
to listen
y'all
to the
write y'all
guests.
questions in the chat. This goddess, I have been following her for some weeks now. I've been, tapped into the information she's been posting. She has a couple very powerful Facebook groups. She does, weekly meetings and things. The knowledge that she provides is beautiful, and this goddess most definitely deserves her flowers. So we're gonna bring Denise on board.
Let's bring on Denise.
Let me get my production in order.
Hi, hello. Great,
Peace,
great,
peace,
great
guys.
Greetings.
peace and love, everyone, on tonight.
Peace.
Today, we are talking about sovereign. One of my greatest topics lately. Why I say one of my greatest topic lately? Because as a kid, I was growing up, and I used to have these weird things happen to me, and I didn't understand them as a child. But as I got into like being a teenager, it started dawning on me. So we all experience things in the spiritual realm, right?
Mm-hmm.
But because of the teachings that we have, we've been misled away from them to know what they were. So I'll say, like, by the time in my teenage, I was in church. So a lot of things I started looking at I want to say the pineal gland, 3D visuals of seeing the nation or the world or the globe for a whole instead of the things that's in front of us and what we were taught. And it started out in the church. You get the little stories when you're a child about Moses and Noah and all these people. So it hit me. I looked into tech. I say about sixth grade when we had computer class, and we was talking about how we was going on this wave, and it was the 21st century, and that things are going to be moving differently. And as I got older, I'm like, okay, well, computers and then cell phones, these conversations that I start hearing people, and I'm like, it down.
Mm-hmm.
I said the technology is going to be, I want to say sort of like not the mark of the beast, but it was going to bring out the truth. It's going to start exposing more because you have scientists that make things, but sometimes things get out of control they cannot handle. And when you cannot handle a
Mm-hmm.
situation, it's hard to put back control into that situation. So I started also looking into the church deeper. And we was the type of children that grew up like, if we were to get punished, the Bible, you know, or like that was the number one thing in our house. Read the scriptures. I was in choir, you know, going over everything. And it hit me again, like, wait a minute. Everything that a person is going, I don't like saying the word person because we all know that stands for business, corporate company. I would like
Mm-hmm.
to say on this live as like being from Webster Dictionary taught in school person as a being. So like
A
I know I'm
being.
on
Mm-hmm.
Facebook as beings or a beautiful soul. So people will know that I'm speaking of people and the differences because I have spiritual people on my profile, on my platform, also with people who's trying to proclaim. Then you have, I want to call them regular people, the ones that say that we're conspiracy or weird, but we actually not. We the one that's trying to lead them in the right direction versus the right versus
Mm-hmm.
the direction that they are going. But it hit me. I'm like, everything that we are going through is right in the Bible. And I'm a poetry. So I write, I get deep. I'm a Cancer. So I look at it in a different view, or like I shut down. And when I'm in hermit mode, that's when I get deeper into the rabbit hole. And I'll go into meditation.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember I was getting called these names. Oh, you're crazy. Something wrong with you. Like my brothers and them didn't understand me. When I used to go to school, I wasn't popular. People didn't understand me. I just felt it. I felt like I was the black sheep of my family. I felt like I was different from everyone. And it was like what people will call normal, traditional. I just feel like my spirit was pulling me away from it. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, because we have to learn in order to grow. And not just that, we have to deprogram the mental in order to program it to something else in order to create a new life. So it's like you could be thinking of 15,000 things at one time. It's just all what you put your focus on too. And and block the other noises out. But I started seeing how the church was ran as a business, and I started putting two and two together. It started with the church for me because I'm getting told these stories as a child, like how Jesus went into the temple, they were selling and he was knocking over the plates and things like that, or how like Moses led them through the Red Sea, and you look over there in California and you like, well, wait a minute, they go to the Red Sea, and there was a time I moved to Arizona, and I'm driving in the Grand Canyon, and I'm like, wait a minute, something not right. I never been on a plane. I never been on a flight, but I had drove 22 hours pregnant with my last child. And I also did it for a reason because I want to stop in other states just to get the feel, the energy, and the for season in them areas and things. So I stopped in like Missouri on the way, Virginia on the way, Indiana.
Yeah,
It was
that's
just
me
so many places.
sightseeing.
Yes, and I had the car on cruise control. But
Mm-hmm.
I remember me talking to my brothers when I was a teenager, and they a little younger than me, and they was like, they call me granny, or they be like, she's crazy, or you trying to be like someone mom. And it's like, I'm not. I'm seeing these things and no one's hearing or paying attention. I said there's going to be a time where you can scan your hands, or you're going to be able to scan the foreheads. And I'm seeing these things, but when you are going through in life, you can't push what you really want to say out there, especially if like the world is not, because there was a time it was a hush mode for holistic, you know, being organic. it was a quiet period of time. They took away marijuana because that was a gateway. And if anybody know what gateway means, just gateway to other dimensions, opening up the third eye, pineal gland. And they seen that European, I like to call them pale faces, and indigenous start coming together as a union, as one. So then they end up start making the marijuana legal and start locking our brothers and sisters up for it. So it's crazy that, okay, you got people sitting in prison right now for a senseless crime. And I dealt with some things in my life that was legally, and I start going to the courthouse, and I'm like, wait a minute. I dealt with CPS in my past. I ended up going to college for social work. I started learning about the opiates. I had a class in college. It was a drug related class, and they was talking about the opiates. That's how I started finding out about the scams that's being ran underneath, and I call them gray areas, because if you was to go to a regular person with these type of conversations, they do not understand. That is the reason why you're going to end up having that bad energy, because you're getting frustrated trying to explain to someone who do not understand you at all, do not know what you're talking about. When they go to these jobs, I have to also tell myself, these people are already programmed and trained within the position that they are in. So you have to look at the being like that. I understand you are just doing your job. You have to understand some things. But I start breaking all these elements down. It's like religion was somewhat with political. You have people telling you, do not go to God, do not ask some questions. Then you had like, don't look at the news, do not watch the news, or don't be in political. And I'm like, why are they trying to keep us away? So I listen to him too as well. And I just start sitting back and start looking into it deeper. And especially when you fast and you stop eating meat and you stop eating all that stuff that you put in your body and your body consume. Like literally, I don't do nails, the face. Now I might do some weave every now and then. That's the furthest it's gonna go, is up in a ponytail. But like, I even like every day my hair out, because I can snatch this out. I'm outside. But when you start connecting yourself with nature, you start getting these downloads about what's really going on. And right now they attacking conspiracy people, because they like, yeah, we gonna put it out there. You know what I'm saying? But where is the proof? How can they show us the proof? Right now, the time that we in is people have been fed up, and you have many people in high places that's basically reached the border, have gotten tired and starting to expose what's going on in the background. You had to have a person that looked through that mirror, and it was a mirror that a person had looked to know the greatest scam of America that's going on, which date back from 1666 with I want to pronounce this name, CESTUI, the
CESTUI.
Yeah, that French name.
Yeah, it's the French
something
name,
like that.
VQ Trust. And what happened? It was Sesame. QV Trust. And it was a fire that happened in London back in 1666. And that's where they had got the whole scenario and the idea of putting everybody belongings in a trust. And the people that survived that fire, basically the thing was, they were supposed to go and proclaim their property that had been missing within a fire in the sea. So what happened up over there? They brought it to America. Each state within the state is sovereign of itself. And I tell people all the time, you have to learn the jurisdiction before you can even go into sovereign. First off, you have to learn banking. If you do not know banking, if you do not know your trust, if you do not know any of them things, you can proclaim your nationality, but yet what do you do from there? That's just like a person that's going to go fix their credit. What do we do from there? And that's the thing. That's just like with a lot of people today, this food shortage, but you don't want to take the time to garden or even learn to garden, so we can come together as communities to be able to feed each other, instead of having all these places that have signs saying donations,
Right. And it's not
So
even really a food shortage. It's a
no,
processed food shortage.
yes, it's a factory made shortage. That's what that is, because people starting to wake up and they like, wait. And I
It's
tell
a
people
food
like,
shortage because everybody is not gardening their food. They're not,
no,
planting their own food and growing their own food.
basically, I seen this as a kid. I used to watch Miss Cleo, and my spirit end up going to her, even though some people, they say, well, they think Miss Cleo was a scam. I never know what happened. All I just know, I have gotten older, and I'm like, wait a minute, what happened to the lady that used to come on TV on the commercials? But then I get this lady in the kitchen with a TV dinner. And our people from the South, so we go the natural way. They want to say homemade. That's how I was taught to cook. Everything homemade, not in a box or, something you could pop in a microwave and it be done. So I'm like, ooh, the food getting quicker. You know what I'm saying? So here I go. I'm like 14, 15, 16. That was my area where things were going on in my life and the music. So all of this is hitting me from church, how the church is being programmed, how it's ran, how members are actually don't even know that they initiating themselves into a cult when they go up there and they ask everyone who would like to become a member of this church, and you go up there, you say the little things or whatever.
Girl, I was always the last one. They always was looking. It's like the whole church was always looking back at me. I was like, not today.
I'm
Not
sure
today.
you test the behavior and energy, because they'll tell you where all the sin is inside of a church. Okay, yes. Why? Because these people that's on the outside, which was taught to live within the outside of themselves instead of the inside of themselves, they go to a church. So what we dealing with today is we're going to take a human, and each part within the human, we going to place it on the outside. So that's like if someone say manifest, you create the thoughts in your head and you bring it to life. But I just need enough people to believe into it in order for it to become real, just like the reality shows. Think about it. Everybody parent within the 90s to the 2000s was either wearing I'm gonna say women was wearing some of their man clothing, and you see how TLC and all them used to dress, versus in the 2000s, and like I say 2000 2005 area, and the reality started coming on. It's like our mothers start to act like our age. The leggings came out, the hairstyles, and you can see the change. And but when you're living within the rapture and you living within your flesh, you do not see the change as a whole. Right. You only probably see within yourself and what's going on within self. But if you can see as a whole, then you can put this, I see why this is happening. I see why that is happening. So the church did it for me. It took me some time to get rid of a religion, because I was seeing how like the treasury was set up, how they were selling dinners, but you're looking at homeless people that's out there. And I just want to know, like, why are y'all making like Family and Friends Day? We have to pass out flyers for people to come to the church, and then you want to reward the person who brought the most saints or the most members or the most friends or the most family, just like the government want everybody in a seat on count day, so therefore they can say, hey, well, the school need funding. No, you just want more Social Security cards so you could get a bonus off our trust. And that's just being honest, but people don't look at the situation like that. And I think I was just too deep for my own kind, because I was speaking of these things when I was like 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 years old. I had people calling me crazy, or you need to check something wrong with you. Have you ever thought about applying for SSI? And I'll be looking at them like, wow, this is serious. Mental illness is real,
So I need to get paid for a so-called mental illness that y'all believe I have. So how's that going to benefit me still?
Right. It's like reverse psychologists. So I started looking at, I said, okay, public school, because if you sit down, and I had wise older people that I sat down with when I was a kid, like this one lady named Miss Hunter, she had 1,000 cats. and you listen to their stories, and you will get someone say, well, we never was in slavery. You know, you will get some people like that. But the way that they presented us and the way they taught us in school was slavery happened everywhere, and that's not true.
It's not true. My grandfather would tell me in a heartbeat, we ain't never been no slave. Like, he get mad. Like, that's one thing, like, having conversations with the elders in my family and having my elders live until they're like 100 years old, 99 years old, and still sitting at their feet, you know, listening to their stories. Yes, on my paternal side, my father's side, we were never slaves.
So like, right. So like, you will hear some say like, there wasn't no such a school. There wasn't no such of this. And then when you start looking into the 1900, you know, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and some of these things, and you be like, wow, this was created then. You know, this was created that year, this year. And it's like, wait a minute, because I bring out my textbook at school and I see an Egyptian, a pharaoh, you know, or one of them signals, Heru sitting right here, but then you have the Constitution and the Bill of Rights in your history books. But instead of them teaching us about this indigenous being that's copper colored in our book, they teaching us about their structure, their structure of life. So I say about like around my 20s and stuff, it's like, I want to proclaim my nationality. What is my nationality? I started looking outside. I know we're bigger than something. I just always had that feeling to know, like I heard about the, you know, Africa thing and how we Black African American. If you pay attention to a lot of paperwork, you have a box that say other. And got over the hump of church, and we went down through the Egyptians and ancient Kemetic, which was what it was before they started calling it Egypt. And then I started looking into the neighborhoods and things that was going wrong in that nature. And I'm like, you know what? It's the food. It's the food. The food is sickening. Not just that, it's mentally ill. That's why these kids have HDAD, ODD, can't sit down. I remember I have a group that's here where I'm from, and they call it Sister Supporting Sister. And I remember some years ago, I put in a group, it was a guy that was from, I think I want to say Vietnamese. I don't want to have the information wrong, but he was saying how like when your baby is born and they inject them with them shots, that's how they create HDAD, because you take your baby to their
and
house.
they put it in your foot.
Yeah,
your foot is the pathway to everything in your whole body.
Yeah, you get the birth certificate, and what they do is put the print, the seals, and stamp it on the birth certificate, both soles of the foot on the birth certificate, which is actually the original birth certificate before they're registered, and then you go get one at the courthouse. So from that point on, because you had your baby in an institution and not knowing what type of institution it is, they want to threaten you with, well, you know, your baby cannot leave, because we was not taught that we can have the shots wavered. So your mind is thinking, oh my God, you know, if I don't give them these shots, I'm gonna have to deal with Child Protective Service, social workers.
They're gonna kidnap my baby.
Go home. So you end up getting your baby that shots. Then they tell you, well, you have to take them to the doctor. Oh, we have chicken pox that used to come out. We have this, that. They need Verapy and all these names for these shots. And not on top of that, I said, it's in the food. It's in the food. I said, it's in the food. They're poison in the food. I said, we grew up off collard greens and things like that. We really got down in the kitchen. You know, it wasn't like, still to this day, I'm 33 and I don't know how to cook in a box food. That's my weakest strength. Like, when I say I'm a chef, I cook, but when it comes to stuff that's in the box, for somehow I can still look at the directions and might end up messing it up from where I come from. And then, like, I don't consume a lot, like how these people today consume a lot. And I'm like, wow. So I'm like, well, all this new stuff is out. What did our ancestors use? So I start going back into the original ways, and I start going to the library, looking up old books from like the 1700s, the 1800s. And deeper down the rabbit hole. And I'm like, that's when I was like, you know what? We wasn't religion. We were spiritual people. And they sitting there playing with us, playing with people's spirits, talking about catching the Holy Ghost in the church and taking people money for tithes and offerings, scamming the members in the church, not letting them know that it's a Federal Reserve Agency. I don't like to say government because we ain't had a government over no telling how long, over 50 plus years. And it's just a cycle. Everything just kept going and going and going and going. I ran across some national and I got to asking them questions because you cannot listen to everyone on Facebook. You cannot listen to everyone on YouTube. You cannot listen to everyone on Instagram because you have a lot of people that's calling themselves woke. You have a lot of people that's calling, like, even the girls. I've been known about that. Like the girls, they just resell courses, keep reselling things, you know, and it's the same thing. So you have to sit with self and ask yourself with common sense. And women speak from the womb, so you know that gut feeling. Not on top of that, it's okay to start asking around and do your homework and do your research. Study, research. God sends symbols and signs, you know, if you like in your highest self and in your highest form when you're thinking of in that nature. And I start getting in touch with some nationals and I start getting deeper and then I start following them. So I tell people, if you want to be free, follow free people. Don't follow no one that's
So
not free.
how did you get in contact with some of the nationals? Because I know it's not somebody that you just see every day when you come on your block.
See, they follow Farrakhan. So I have Muslims in my family. And I know theirs is like different. So I'm around my brothers and them. They be assalamu alaikum, hasalam, speaking in that tongue. I also went to I have a friend and she's Muslim. And when we was younger, I used to go to her house and she used to try to get me to go to the mosque with them and stuff. And I'd be like, no, I'm going home. So I ended up eventually going one, and the man they had the curtain because the woman was in the back, the man was in the front. And I'm like, I started listening to Farrakhan. I was into Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. I was for that, you know, political rights, Black Panther, all them things. So you only become friends with who you seek. I learned that about the algorithm on social media and Facebook and stuff. You only will start seeing the things that you seek on Google and other platforms. If you ever went to Google, you look up something and you go back to Facebook, there go an ad. So instead of adding people where I'm from, because like it's information I done got put on Facebook, my pages done got hacked. I probably say this like the fourth Facebook I probably have made, but instead of adding regular people like my family or people I know around the block, I start adding millionaires, 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures. And that's when I start learning. I start getting in their groups and seeing what they're doing. I start like paying money to just have them courses on the side to start teaching myself and being within the membership to see what's going on for self. Then I said, hey, if I can do that with six figure earners and stuff, that's how I got into credit and into the financial things and that nature, discharging credit, grants and things like that. I want to be a national. I might as well start following national. So I start following a lot of Muslims. And I had to learn the different. I started seeing some people talk about Moors. And I started looking into more. So what I did was start looking up people who had an L and a Bay. And then I started seeing people who had passports. Now, there was a time you had some Moors that was selling this information. And I found this one lady. I don't know if y'all friends with her, but Chang Diana. I started looking into her. Well, I end up messaging her because I'm like, well, you had to get into the temple. So I end up messaging her. She gave me the information. I got in the temple. I set my appointments and I end up going to the appointments. But I started looking for national people, bills and A's, and then look at what they're posting on their Facebook and the connection, seeing who they friends with. And I start seeing the things that they start posting. And I'm like, okay, I get it. So I start hearing about this lady where I'm from in the state where I live. And she's actually national. She have everything. She actually teaches people how to become free. I am in her groups right now. These people that are national, I can't say the three ones that I deal with besides the temple, because everybody know that on Facebook there's a lot of people on with the Moabs and the Moors and things like that. These people are private. They do not have a Facebook at all. They on WhatsApp and Telegram platforms like that, Deep Court. They're not on YouTube. They're not on Instagram. They're not on. They're very private. So when you want to live a private life, there's certain information you cannot put out there. I stumble across a lot of things I, say, even like now, because I know this being aired on YouTube, I want to say, but I cannot say because there's certain thing that is for only private. That's not for public. I have information set up right now that I would love to share, but I cannot share on sites. So
respect.
in order to go into being sovereign, you do have to understand, like, you're going into an independent state of mind. And that's how they created states. So state is basically the state of mind that you are in. You have to know, it's just like with someone saying being whole again, as a whole well-being, being holistic. You have to know the jurisdiction and how they're running. So I'm going to give a little piece. I want to say, okay, hold on, because I write so much down. It is a website you can go to if you are on Facebook and look up National Powerhouse. I do a lot in there. I will message you within that group. But it is a website that I do want to share. If you do want to start the process, there's two ways. Like I do put in my group, I do tell people you can go through the temple to start the process to proclaim. If you do not like the temple way, if it's too long, there is other people that is legit that I will refer to, that I know that's national, they're free, they living within their trust. They doing their thing. It's the others that need to do theirs. I also want to state, study your birth certificate, study your social security card, go to the Treasury Direct, look up the numbers in the back. The EE bonds, you will look up the year of your birthday, and that will tell you how much is in your account. There's also other websites, I will not say here, that you can look into, and it will show all the companies that you have given your social security number out. Them are the companies that have been living within your trust. I can say that we do now know that the Social Security Administration is our trustee. They are our trustee because they said we are too incompetent to handle our own affairs. If you do not understand what that means, is social is the people, security, you have to ask yourself, what are they securing? And then administration, what are they administering? Look at the words, because each word have a meaning. This how you research and find the things that you need to find. Social Security Administration is our trustee. They the one that administer. How do they administer us? Through welfare. So if you getting any government benefits, no matter what it is, if it's from the government, that comes out of your trust. Social Security, SSI, WIC, cash assistance, EBT, food stamps, free public school, community colleges, free Medicaid, all of that. You have to ask yourself, when you go into places, what do? You give them your social security number. That's how they register you. You are your own beneficiary policy. You have to understand they use banking words with us, banking terminology with us in these institutions. All of these places are institutions. You have to start looking at it as an institution. Better yet, look at it like this. If you in front of your house, right, and you go outside in your yard and you got your neighbors across the street, right? Let's just put it like this. They do this in Chicago. They got one gang on one side, a gang on the other side. So let's just look at it like this. You got to look at yourself within your jurisdiction. You land jurisdiction. Stop walking in AC. It's a geographical location. They geographically designated these areas and given us zip codes for a reason. We're in the inside. They on the outside. They built the highways to get around us, so they won't have to go through us. It is very important to know who you are and where you come from. It is very important to know legalist terms in the courthouse, because we was taught to fear them. No, you do not have to fear them. What they are doing is trying you in court. Tribunal, when they use word like tribunal, that's then for indigenous beings. We already know where our taxes is going to. Federal Reserve. You got to understand what they're using it for, and that's tobacco, firearms. All of these things you have to learn. You can. It look good, it sound good, but you have to think, because you have a lot of people who want to do this. Oh, I just want to proclaim my nationality and don't have no education, don't have no knowledge behind it. If you have a family, you got to know, do I know how to garden? Because you now stepping in independent. California is franchise. That's an independent state. You look at some states and be like, why are they so high living? Them are franchise, independent states, Republicans. That's who we supposed to have been voting for all along, is Republicans. But instead we vote for Democrats and we get a pacifier in our mouth. How do we get a pacifier in our mouth? They feed us. That's why they able to poison us. Okay.
Texas is another independent state as well.
People cry about it. You know what I'm saying? You marching out there, huh? You're marching. What is that going to do for us? That's not going to do anything. It takes for you to heal yourself, get some knowledge, some true knowledge, and then go out and attack these demons. God, call on your ancestors. You have to have a plan doing this. You have to know for sure if this is something that you're willing to face. I tell people every day, look, if FEMA camps was to come right now, you got a gun, is you going outside, you better learn how to protect yourself and protect your arms. So learning that we are dealing with air jurisdiction. We are dealing with sea jurisdiction. We are dealing with land jurisdiction. Right now, they have us in sea jurisdiction. Sea jurisdiction, we a whole entity of dead people. That's why they make movies, zombie movies. They telling you you're dead. Why you think you're not getting no justice? You're not going to get justice. Our votes do not count. We are subjected to our own rights because the people that y'all vote for to be on the commission board. Stop voting for these people. I voted for Obama one time. Yeah, we were just too happy because we seen a copper brown brother, but then when you find out he's a bot, it's like, well, dang. When you find out these
I didn't vote for him the second term neither. I stopped voting after that. I ain't gonna hold you.
You have to ask, because we just go up because we just be so happy because it's like, hey, we coming back. We coming back. We slowly coming back, but it's how you do things. It's how you do business. Everything can't be for the public. Some things have to be in the private. One thing I did recognize was, if you paid attention to Malcolm X back in the day, and it was a scene that they were showing all on Facebook, even in school, when he marched, a guy got locked up and they marched down there. Let me tell you, a quiet person get a lot done versus a person who make a lot of noise. And I know I seen people put, oh, we ain't made enough noise. Now think about Malcolm X standing there with his whole crew in the front. They not saying anything, but the people in the back that's to the pale face, They look like savages and animals. They don't deal with that kind. That's why you said you have to step to them like a wolf in sheep clothing. Because if you step to them as a wolf and bark as a wolf, then you bound to get whatever's yet to come, whatever they're obligated you to do. Just like I tell people, when you go in a courthouse and they tell you, do you understand? No, you do not understand. Do not ever tell a judge you do. If you in a courthouse and it's see jurisdiction, you do not tell the judge you understand, because the moment that you do, you just let them know that they have jurisdiction over you. They use legalist terms, just like with these terms, person. We already know that's corporate, that's business. Now, how is this is done? How I look at it, how I proceed to be. This is the reason why I do tell people, anytime I say things like this, go do your own research to get your own understanding. But to me, this is how I looked at it. I even wrote this down. So I don't know if y'all can see that or not, but you have a name, right? So this is like deprogramming the most blatant, largest fraud there is. So when you are born, your parents named you. The first letter is capital. The rest of them is lowercase. That is your trade name, okay? That's the name that was lost at sea. That's the name before your mother signed her signature where it say parent and informer. If you look at your birth certificate, if you notice your mother name is typed in there as mother, but then when you go down on your birth certificate where the signature say, it now say parent. Now, if you look into the word parent, what do these companies say? It's always a parent that birth out little companies, right? You get it? There's always a parent that birth out little companies. So a parent, they will have right there, and then they say informer. You are to inform these people about your child when you are born. And it's the reason why they say you too incompetent to handle your affairs. I don't like the word children because it means ward of state. Ward of state. So when you call your baby's child or children, it's called ward of state. So when you're born, you have that name. When your mother do the signature, she now register you in a foreign trust. This is how your name is getting traded on the market. Foreign trust, a domestic trust, and a I want to say non-profit. Okay, which is like, okay, ward of state. So you have foreign. That is the trademark estate account. And that name, because you see it all around you. It's on your birth certificate, it's on your social security, it's on your license, your state ID, it's in your bill/presentments that come in the mail. You got to start paying attention to these things. How? Because now what you're going to do is you're going to take each of the name and you're going to start seeing what corporate business is coming from through the United States, because you have the United States of America, then you have the citizens of the United States. So they have like 3 different type of business that's going above our head, and they basically naming us. That's why we have a president. The president is like a CEO of the company. If you get a business right now, you're going to need a president of your business. You're going to need a treasury. And that's what they basically did. They made a treasury. They got a president. And all of our money, everything is like donated. It's basically supplying their needs to protect them against us. So we're actually helping them build their military instead of building our own. We actually helping them build these institutions instead of building our own. No one's thinking like that. And we have to start thinking like that as beings. You can sit on Facebook and each platform, and you can sit there and cry about it, shout about it, complain about it all day long. But if everybody do not become national, you're in a world full of trouble, because they only deal with national. That's why it's called private against public. These are national beings that's acting in private, moving in public with American laws, international laws, and they hitting us with it. So you have John Smith Doe, and all of them are capitals. Why you think it's called capital gains? They dealing with a capital corporate, anything that's capital. You got capital funds, capital. Where the word capital come from? Because they made your trademark name all caps to run a business as you, because you're supposed to be dead anyways, right? The only time you're supposed to sign a certificate is when you die, which is a death certificate. And then they summons you in court and you're not dead. I tell people all the time, these words have connection to them. Because like I tell the person, like when you look at corporation, that's of the dead. If you break corporation down, C-O-R, you know what I'm saying? C-O-R-P, if you was to put an S, corpse. What you do to a dead person, you take the corpse out. So corpse. If I was to sit there and keep the whole word and take the C out, it's operation. So they put these words together and they put their own terminology behind it, and they teach us because little do we know, we just going to school to be slaves anyways. People that's in college, they think they're better than the people that only have a high school education. No, you just a more knowledgeable slave than the next. You just getting a higher pay. That's what it is. They still taking your taxes, you know, they still stealing from you, and you still not gonna get majority of it even when you file your taxes. If you pay attention to the W-2s, it tells you at the bottom. It tells you this is an allowance that's owed to you. Why is it owed to you? Why do you even think you get taxes at the end of the year anyway? Because they've been borrowing the money up out your checks every time you go cash them. That's what taxes is. Federal, state, child support, Medicaid. You know, you got to ask yourself this, like, I knew something was wrong, because for them to be on the news talking about the unemployment rate is way up here, and they're lying, talking about we in billions of debt due to Medicaid. No, we in billions in debt due to the fact that we keep billing their military, and they over there going to war and want to steal oil and all these other things. Truthfully,
their defense system just lost like $2 trillion.
Yeah. I read up on that. I'm like, how?
Where did y'all get trillions from?
I'm gonna tell you this. What do y'all think these celebrities are living off of?
Us.
It's not even just the
borrowed money
that people are even paying them to go to their concerts and stuff. It's people got to realize this thing is deeper than what it actually looks. Because
it sounds like when you were saying the stuff about death, like I found that very interesting, because I see that a lot in Hollywood. Definitely the war between life and death. They play with that a lot, and with the words and everything. And that brought me, when you were bringing it up, it brought me to that mindset of manifest destiny. Like, we're supposed to be dead anyway, because according to y'all textbooks, y'all killed all of us.
Right.
So if y'all killed all of us and we're still physically here, that's where a lot of that, you know, is coming from, being summoned and all that different stuff. That just goes to show, like, you lied on paper about things, and we're just playing a game with you.
Right.
Well, walking,
and they don't
zombies.
But
like,
once you
exactly.
think about this. This just like they say. This how I knew, like, I started looking at us like, no, baby, we are gods and goddesses because we have the power to create. You can reconstruct your whole DNA by detoxing the metals and everything about it. You by tapping in certain hand mudras, doing Reiki, and tapping into the divine force. These are things that they did not want us to know. They keep hitting us with slavery because they want our mind to be stuck on just slavery. They do not want us to go past 400 years, even though some of us already know that 400 years was 2019. To me, the reason why I say that slavery ended in 2019, that was the year that they ship had to sail. You know, look at Deuteronomy 28. It tells you in Deuteronomy 28, it says that they will be second again. and that we will be first. What have y'all been seeing rising in the past couple of years? Indigenous owned business. Even though they calling them black owned business, this is the reason why I did put a post on my post one time. I said, for y'all black owned business, y'all need to change that, because you do not even own your business. If you go register your business and get an LLC within their entity and you're not national, how do you think you own that business? The government own it. I had to tell this lady one time. I asked this lady, I said, do you think you own a car? She said, yeah, I paid off my card notes, you know. I said, okay, good, that's great. She said, I got my title. I said, that's great, you know, whoop, whoop. I said, okay, huh? I said, you registered your vehicle? She said, yeah, I registered. I said, yeah, you buy a sticker too, you get some insurance? She said, yeah. I said, you don't own that. She looked at me crazy. She said, what do you mean?
You don't own anything.
I said, look, I said, a person that has a vehicle that's pushing cargo is the only ones that need insurance. You need insurance just in case if you damage goods and property. So you the property. That's the reason why, if you think about it, anything that you have to register is no longer yours. Register. So you're registering something in the system. What are you registering? If you look at secretary, I like to call him Secret Terry, but where I'm from, Secretary of State. But then in some parts, like I want to say Arizona, Texas, they have the motor vehicle department of motor vehicle. And they're not going to explain this to you. They really not. When you go down there, you get your identification card and things like that. You register that vehicle. That vehicle is no longer yours. That is Secretary of State. That's why it can get repoed. That's why the police can pull you over and repo your car, because it's not yours. It's considered their property and their business, and you sitting there writing in a geographical location and their jurisdiction. Every time you walk into one of their institutions, you walking into one of their jurisdiction. Anytime that you have to go register something, you're walking into their jurisdiction. And we have to learn what their jurisdiction what are their institutions. I was telling people this is the reason why they said we have to learn how to detox our bodies and stuff like that and heal ourselves so we can be able, for the ones who do want to give birth, because if you look within the Egyptian walls, you see they squatted and have a baby. They wasn't laying on their backs. They taught us wrong. They even taught us not to say we need C-sections, and we really didn't. So
they told us that because I forget what king it was. He had a fetish with watching women give birth, and so he would make women sit like that so he could watch it. It was a sexual fetish, and now we just do it.
Everything is sexual to them. Even from the food is sexual. If you look at a sneaker and look at the thing, the linings, it reminds you of what? Veins on the penis. They put sex hormones and food in your meat. And then
I thought it was just me.
That's horny running around telling you, oh, baby, we got to do this before I decide whether if I want to be in a relationship with you. Now, no, baby, that comes from them shrimps and cocktails that you were just eating. You need to go readjust yourself. And then maybe you need to take a month or two off and then come back and reevaluate yourself and then let me know if you really need it.
Right. You know? There's some fear going on. Okay, so going back to what you were saying about getting things registered. Now there's a mindset of, I guess, like the lack mindset. What happens if it's not registered? As far as like vehicles or businesses and things like that, there's a fear going on about that, not having it registered.
I can't say this. When you proclaim your nationality,
they did lock me up when I ain't had that insurance on there.
Now here's the thing, because a lot of people don't know equity, and like I said, we on the breach of a lot of us learning about nationality and proclaiming and thing. It's better to be national versus being subjected to your rights and being their property, because that's basically what they call us. As long as you attach to that birth certificate, as long as you attach to your straw man, you're gonna be considered property. The thing is looking up the terminology and using these terms against them in such ways. I can't say this. I had some people that did say when you do do your nationality, and you take ownership of your straw man, that also for commercial purpose, you want to keep your identification. Now, I do
Mm-hmm.
tell people this. I am partnered with a company. If anybody having issues with like criminal or civil, you can get help. You don't have to be rich to get a lawyer. I tell anybody a lawyer is someone that just represent the dead. That's why it's called represent, court appointed attorney. I tell anybody, if you get a court, which the judge is going to tell you, you are able to get a court appointed attorney, but they not working for you. They working for their jurisdiction. They working for their courts. They're going to get paid regardless if they lose or win. They don't care what happened to you. It's a money thing to them. So you have to ask, is it better for an attorney to represent me as if I'm dead, or is it better for me to present myself as a living man or a living woman? You know, so everybody's situation is different. So this is something that you just cannot come through and say, hey, well, this worked for me, so I know it will work for everybody else. I got 3 kids. You may have 5 kids, so your situation may be different than mine. Your income status could be different than mine. Everything, you know, is just dealing with, you might have some legal situations going on that I don't have, and I might get a term, you know, it's just all about it, because at the end of the day, once you're done, it's about how you want to set up your trust. It's about how you want to go about your estate. It's about how you want to go with your trade name. So all this come into play, and then you have to know from your trade name that was lost at sea, then the all caps, which is your first, middle, last name, that's all caps. That's a trademark estate, which is a foreign account. So you may want to write this down,
Now,
foreign.
when you say trade name that was lost at sea, what do you can you break that? Can you explain that?
Okay, so going back, let's see. I want to say I put it. What I mean by you are lost at sea, when your mother
Mm-hmm.
hatched and you picked
Right.
out and she picked out your name, she wrote your name as what it says on the birth certificate. You have a capital letter and then all
Mm-hmm.
lower,
And lowercase. Mm-hmm.
right? Well, once your mom signed that BC, your name is lost at sea. You are dead. If you go to the
Drowned or
hospital,
adrift. Right. Mm-hmm.
yeah, drowned. See, you wasn't until your mom, you wasn't. Your mama didn't have to sign that birth
Mm-hmm.
certificate. You know,
Mm-hmm.
your birth supposed to be recorded in an institution, which is a hospital. If you go to the hospital and you go to medical records and you ask them about the recording of your birth, they're going to tell you they do not have it and to go to vital records. Why should I have
Right.
to go to vital records if I was born here? I wasn't born at vital records. I was born here. So they needed you to be registered. Your certificate is like a receipt stating you have a
Mm-hmm.
certifier. So it's like if you pull out your birth certificate, I want to say, like if you pulled out your birth certificate and you have, I certify that the above named child, it be words like this you have to look for. I certify that the above named child. You could tell this is someone within another institution filling this out, because it would have stated your name right there instead of saying name child. And then they certifying something, which they
Right.
certifying that you are, that your mom signed this, that the information was correct. This the day that they created your straw man. The date they created your straw man. And they needed your mom's signature. So therefore she can go apply for the Social Security card, saying they're going to be the trustee.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how your mom get benefits, because our ancestors that was out of slavery or want to say, like, how can I say that? And then end up being into involuntarily slavery. So during that time, they was subjected to their rights. They needed a job for housing and things. And they said, hey, we could give you things, but it's limited liabilities, and you will be subject to certain your rights. So when they found out about our trust, they was like, oh, okay, well, how do we do that? Because they bankrupt like 150 years ago. So they still needed some type of money in order to keep doing what they're doing. So they using us and then calling us corporate businesses, things in that nature. So we running and living as a whole business, a body of one, a whole body of one within nature. And then they had like, they traded your name. So that's what they're doing. They trading your name up on the market. So that's why you have a foreign trust. You have a domestic trust. And then you have the ward of the state, which is the nonprofit. The nonprofit go into your churches and things like that. Transmuting utility. You transmuting utility and things in that nature. That's where you get the domestic trademark. So you got your trade name, which is John Smith Doe. That was lost at sea. Then they end up giving you the foreign account that made your all caps name from your first, middle, last, or if you only have first and last, all caps, which is your trademark estate. And then you go into your domestic account, which is a transmitting utility. That's where your bills and all that stuff come. If you look on them, your name will be all caps, but instead they either won't have your middle name or they have just your middle initial. So it'd be your first, middle initial, last name, all caps, or it'd be your first and last name, all caps. And then like your first and last, that's ward of the state. So if you get something from the court or something that just have all caps, your first and last name, that's ward of the state. So anything dealing with legal matters in that terms, that's word of the state. They trading our names, and then they're going into your social, they're going into your trust. So if you do want to proclaim your nationality and get up out their jurisdiction, you first have to do some studying. Join my group. I'll be able to message or email these certain websites. I can't give you, I'm not going to say it here. There is a test. You may want to take the test, do some studying about the Old Testaments versus the New Testaments, because they do use a lot of terminology that's within that Bible in the courthouse, because the court is constructed as just like the church. They constructed in such ways how it's all orchestrated. So once you do your proclaim your nationality, once you do become sovereign, take control of your straw man, then you want to learn about your trust, how to do express trust, revocable trust. Now, this the thing. You cannot be trustee and beneficiary. So if you can trust someone wholeheartedly to be your trustee, this only if you want to benefit from your account. If you do not want to benefit from your account, you become the bank yourself. You become the trustee. If you have kids, you could do it this way. You could be the trustee and your kids could benefit from the account. You might see some people been posting about how you can take care of your bills with your social security card, because that's where the 1099A and the 1099B come from. You will start learning about them methods on how to pay your bills with the Social Security, because people are like, well, what do I do when I come sovereign? You want to get in your trust and get into your estate, get some land. Get some land, get it patterned. Get in pattern. You're going to be running yourself as a trademark. So anything you want your name on, you trademark and seals. You want to get gold seals. You want to get your things stamped. You want to get to the it's so much information. It's so much I really want to say on this live, but it's like it's
we
like
got
wow.
you.
But
nah, we got you, sis. You already know how it goes.
Look, I be telling people, they be looking at me. I had this lady, she was standing outside in front of, I want to say, Dollar Tree, and they was like signature. So I guess you get paid to get people's signature, and they was trying to get the minimum wage to go up. And I said, hey, If you proclaim your nationality, you won't have to worry about minimum wage going up. And she said, well, what you mean? People don't understand how slavery worked. I'm gonna say this. Slavery, you're working for free. You're not knowing you working for free. You actually working for yourself, not knowing you working for yourself. So when someone say, well, what do you mean by that? I say, okay, well, you go in a job, you get an application, you fill it out, right? You fill it out, you give them your social security card. Let's say you go to the interview, you get your job, you go on the orientation, and then here it goes. You got the W-2s. Now you got to ask yourself, if I'm working for McDonald's, should McDonald's be paying me? McDonald's should be paying me, right?
But you're paying yourself with the social.
Right. McDonald's not paying. McDonald's not coming out the pocket. It's
No.
the Federal Reserve Agency. And then within the Federal Reserve Agency, you got to sit back and ask yourself, well, if we've been bankrupt 150 years ago, where are they getting the money from? This how your mind have to think. It's like a rabbit. You got to keep chasing after and after and after. So I was telling the lady, she was just looking at me. I'm like, yeah. The Federal Reserve Agency is not a government. It's a corporate agency. It's a non-private. It's non-profit organization. I tell anybody, you want to own a business, go for non-profit because there's no taxes. That's why you got people like Salvation Army. Have money, heartbeat, charity, things like that. Why do you think they talk about donations and charity all the time? This is how they've been getting us through donations and charities. That's how they've been getting us. And we be saying, oh, the church, or you feed the children, and then they go to the worst part of Africa, or probably somewhere in Indiana, Michigan, or somewhere in the ghetto, and pick some kids and say, hey, this Africa, and make a commercial and say, let's feed the children and things in that nature. We just have to be more knowledgeable about that's being said to us, the things that's being taught to us. I like to tell people, go to source. Go to source. Just like with your electric company, you have to understand who's regulating who's the big dog, who is over who. You go to them people. That's like somebody say, I'm gonna go to your boss, I'm gonna go to the boss's boss. Well, I'm going to the CEO, the founder of the company, because I want to know his agenda. I wanted to know his intentions behind this, you know. So that's how far you have to think with this process. I was telling her, like, don't you think you should be boycotting McDonald's too, in a way? Because I look at it like this, it's a little gray area right there. You done gave McDonald's your social security number too. But see, McDonald's ain't told you.
And you work for them.
That you, yeah, and they sitting there taking them too, because they're $1 billion company. You done gave McDonald's your social security card, and you done gave the IRS your social security number. And they both run a game on you. But guess what? These are what they say $1 billion and $1 trillion companies, and you getting paid pennies. They give you scraps. They're slaving you. I was up in a emergency room one time, and I just told a nurse, I said, you a well-paid slave. I like to be called nurse instead of a slave. I said, sorry, baby, but I'm just being honest. Like,
my grandpa was doing that. Oh my God, I had to tell him. I was like, bro, stop doing that when we out. These people taking care of you while I'm gone, and then I gotta come in here and act up the next day. Stop it. But yes, he called all the nurses and doctors. He's like, y'all some slaves.
So
yeah, it don't matter. You're still a slave too, you know.
So I'm giving y'all a little, like, I'm just sharing little information here and there because it's so much that I want to say that I just cannot. If you want to know where this Sese QV Trust started from, look back at the fire in London back in 1666. This will grasp to take you where we at now. So it do tells a lot. Also,
can you say that first part again? It was what, 1666?
The fire in London.
The Sese QV Trust, Estate.
Okay.
London, 1666. During the Black, I want to say, it was during the Great Fire.
Okay.
So let's just say within that time, I want to say Paramount, they enacted an act behind closed doors called the SESAQV Act in 1666. And the act that was being debated was to subrogate the rights of men and women. All men and women was declared dead, lost at sea beyond the sea. And back in them times, they was operating in admiralty law, maritime international laws. They was operating within that back in them times. So like a lot of these things, they basically going back in a 1500, 1400, just depicting certain things from them areas, and they putting it within our laws today in code of conduct. So like I say, when capital letters are used anywhere in a name, this always refers to a legal entity, which is fiction. It's a company and a corporation. So anywhere you go, no matter where you go, any mail that have your name on it, if it's all caps, first, middle, last, first, last, first name, middle initial, last name, that is a fictitious entity. That is a corporate. It's a dead entity. That's how they're operating. Anything with all caps, no matter how it's spelled, all caps. You can go in the hospital right now and you can write your paper down, your name down on a million times, and in their computer system, everything is all caps. So to keep it moving, check out the American State Assembly. You got to know what it all orchestrates. The American State Assembly, the Board of Commissions. Because in order to go sovereign, you will have to know which jurisdiction you are standing in. Also, when you start doing your paperwork and you start putting it out there in the public and recording these things, you got to know which place you operating from. Your marriage, if you marry, that's supposed to be on land. You're supposed to give birth on land. Everything have to deal with land jurisdiction, land and soil. You are living woman and living man and living woman. So all these things you have to know in order to correct the political status of your BC. Hold on. Also, if you like to know more, I say look into Meet Your Straw Man, which everybody have this book. This is a great book. I tell anyone this. This another one. So I don't know if anyone can see this.
Yeah, I was reading those off. David E. Robinson. He wrote a few different really good books. That's the UCC Connection, Correct Your Political Status, Meet Your Straw Man,
And a common law.
Common Law, yeah, Give Yourself Credit, Reclaim Your Sovereignty, and then the one on affidavits.
Also, I do look at the new Jim Crow. So if you haven't gotten that, it tell you about the underline of the legal system, the new Jim Crow. Now, if you want to know how the 1666 London fire, how they came over here, how it started, I tell y'all, this is a book right here they may not want to give you, but they were slaves themselves. They are the Africans, okay?
Yep.
They are the Africans. People don't understand Kanye when he was saying white. A lot of people don't understand this, but white and black is not a racist thing. White and black is actually meaning first class and second class. They did the black and white thing on you to black a lot of things out in the white. White stands for pure, natural, within a higher form, a higher state, natural. Black It's the absence of death. Everybody was going with the Black Lives Matter. I'm not gonna lie, I was going with it at first, but then I was like, wait a minute, I'm not black. He not
Mm-mm.
black. My kids copper color, they're brown, you know. I'm just a lighter shade of melanin. And I'm like, if that's the absence of death, why are they playing this game with us and things in that nature? So if you out there, like I said, we're not black, we're indigenous to this land. That's just like people say Indian. We can't even say Indian because they gave us that name. It was a debunk. Indian is just another terminology for indigenous. They just keep
Mm-hmm.
rechanging the name and rechanging the name. And now we got our people sitting there accepting these names and being pro-black and all these things and marching with it and going by it. And we getting further away from our roots. Rich told us we was going to be disconnected from our roots. It's up to us to get back to our roots in order for our nation to be back aligned with itself. But it takes with you first how far are a person willing to go, because you have a lot of people who's not willing to take care of self. They like being dependent on the state. They like
Right.
low income apartments. They like they SSI and free benefits and things in that nature. And it's like, no, because you have to deal with their crap. You have to deal with their statutory laws that they done made up, their code of conducts that they made up. A lot of people sitting in prison and jail for harmless crimes and things in that nature. Everybody want to seek justice, but then y'all addicted to the modern lifestyle. I'm sorry,
Right.
you cannot have both. That just like they say, money is the root is all evil. You know, you're gonna pick God or you're gonna pick the demon itself. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? A lot of the things that's ours, they're using, but they're using it against us to fear us, to stop us from using it. Because if we use it, we can gain and take back our power. And that's why it's so. I was listening to you said Dan Calloway, so I'm like, if you want to know how to do genetically and find where you come from, do look into Dan Calloway. He is helping a lot of people with that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to know how the commission board is manipulating us or how to manipulate people, things of that nature, this is another great book to read.
Mm-hmm.
The
That's the
information
78
is
laws of
out there
power.
in the movies. Go look up the all you have to do is go to their website. Some of the stuff be on their website, but it's just about how they use it and how we use it, how they look at it and how we look at it. So that's the type of thing that it is. If you notice, like once you start going through these things, a lot of this stuff starts to seem the same. A lot of these things starts to see the same. You have to look at it as where you stand at. That's where it's just going to come down to it. I can talk, the next person can talk, even the people that already have there. But at the end of the day, that's up to you. If this is
Right.
something you really want to do, because I'm telling you, they will mess with you in some ways. Like the courts, they don't like me. You know, like I said, I had my journey going on years ago, and I had this one attorney tell someone that I was with, like they don't like her, they intimidated by her, and they was just like, why? And the attorney was like, they giving her a hard time because she know too much. And I was like, well, what you mean by that? And they was like, because things that I was saying in the courthouse, and they're like, how she know? Because they probably look at us like we're irregular, and it's like, no, see, you put these books in
Mm-hmm.
front of us for us to learn. And I went to school for social work, and I just started seeing things like I just started seeing kids how they reacted, and you know the medication they was giving them and how they be high. Now the only thing I know you
Mm-hmm.
could get high from is the drugs in the streets. You know what I'm saying?
We
So
getting high from this food out here.
if you're mentally ill and these pills and this counselor, they supposed to be curing you, not giving you something that to destruct your mind even more to make you go crazy. Because I tell people when it is, when you get them shots injected into you, when you take that medication, you are no longer human. Your body and your brain cells are
Mm-hmm.
now functioning off the meds that are given to you. Because once
Mm-hmm.
them meds roll off, you no longer can't function unless you have that pill or unless you have that injection. So
And
this
they
why
know that. That's why they give it to our babies before they can speak to communicate what's going on inside of their bodies. I think at this point, an average child who actually gets all the shots they're supposed to get will have a combination of what, like a good 20 shots before they're the age of 2 or 3. At this point, they have so much stuff. And then on top of that, like Camel walking with you with the food and stuff like that, a lot, if you look at the brands of food that they're feeding the children in the schools, you can't go in the store and get that same brand of food.
Mm-hmm.
It's nowhere. It's literally only in the public education cafeterias that you're going to find this food. Also out here in New Jersey, it was a whole thing about that, all the metals and stuff being in the water fountains. They had to shut down a lot of the water fountains. A lot of this stuff is being done by design. You know, when they give the baby the shots, because my oldest son was vaccine injured, which started my journey, because instead of them wanting to heal my son, they wanted to experiment on my son. And this was when he
Mm-hmm.
was 2, and my child is now 16. We detoxed him. We went through all these things. You know, I eventually, you know, COVID gave me the courage I needed to just pull my kids out of school altogether. You know, so now I'm homeschooling and all those different things. But I noticed the big difference. When my son was in school, he was pulling his hair out. He had bald spots. We had to keep cutting his locks. He couldn't keep hair. His nails is long, his hair is long, his personality, he has a personality now. He didn't have that when he was in school. It was a lot of things that was going on that I didn't notice until he was out of school. I noticed the hair pulling and stuff because I have a background in psychology. So I could tell he was fixated on something, but he wouldn't communicate with me. But now can't get the boy to
Mm-hmm.
be quiet. And I love it. But like it just goes to show like it is a big difference in, you know, what our children are going through during them 8 hours they're not in our care. Even my youngest son used to tell me, like, you really gonna drop me off with these strangers for a lot of hours? Why are you trusting me? Why are you like, you don't even let me go to sleepovers with friends and people you know, but you're gonna let me sit here for 8 hours? And I'm like, you know what? He's right.
Like,
Like the kids be knowing.
dang,
Like,
Rhea, why
you're
am I
absolutely
doing
right.
this?
Let me take you back home.
so
Like,
I
yo,
give you
go ahead.
so I give you a little description and rundown for the ones who want to start the process. This it is called like a one pager. I don't know if I can let me see. So like you will go within the state. So I can say this. You could go to states.americanstatenationals.org. And then you're gonna pick the state.
State.americanstatenationals.org.
Yeah. And then let me make sure. Ooh.
It's
Okay.
American or Americans?
Americans. Hold on. Let
With
me
the S?
see.
Okay.
Can I? I'm about to see if I can do this. Do the chat work?
Yeah, you could comment it right in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, you can
So
comment in the chat, but the live chat sometimes doesn't pop up during the replay.
American State Nationals. And then you're gonna pick the state that you reside in, the state that you were born in. Because a lot of people move from the state that they are born in. Yes. Once you go there, you're gonna scroll down. You're gonna see 3 forms. You're gonna click the middle. It's gonna say correct your status. So when you go to correct your status, it takes you. It shows you the geographic location, and you're gonna scroll all the way down. It's gonna say correct your status. You're gonna click on that, and it's gonna come to the one page declaration. So that's how you do start the process. If you do not want to go within a Temple 43 and you want to go another route with authenticating your birth certificate or assembling your birth certificate, you go there to that website, americanstatenationals.org. You're going to scroll down where you're going to click the state you reside in, the state you was born in. and then it's going to bring you up to one page declaration. Please do not get confused when you get to this page because there is a lot and tons of information. So this is how this is going to go. Once you get there, let's see. If you scroll, I want to say if you scroll down, you will see something say streamline correction process document. Streamline correction process document. This is an example, so you will know what you are clicking on. So let's say if you were born here in America, you will select Declaration of America. If you was born in America, you will select the Declaration of America. If you was born overseas, you will select the Declaration for Immigrants. If you were born here in America and work for the federal government or some state, you will select the Declaration for Federal Person. This will mean you are a loyal citizen, and you will need to ensure and protect the capacity of that federal person. So you have to know which one to click on. You have people that's Americans, you have people that's born overseas, you got people that's working for the so-called federal government. So it's different paperwork. Let's see. So like say if I click on, it say like for Americans 1779 Declaration of Naturalization for Americans Recording Secretaries. So you scroll down and you will hit correct your status. Is that me got that up? I'm not
No,
screen
that's
sharing.
me. So like
Correct.
all this right here is like showing you how to go about it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then like when you're ready, you will click on the middle where it say correct your status.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have like so much ton of information. You will go keep scrolling down until you see where it says streamline correction process documents. So like the other documents that you will need,
there we go.
it's like 2 witnesses. So they tell you about the notary, because you're gonna need like the notary. It's best to get it on land.
Mm-hmm.
So that'd be like 2 witnesses. They explain this to you. To be able to get it notarized, you will need a copy of your birth certificate. I say this because you do have one. Say this: if you have one in front of you, you got a BC, go online and also get the loan birth certificate too. I just tell people, get a couple copies of your birth certificates, and if you have children, kids, get a couple copies of theirs also as well. If you could go back, if they allow you, because I'm about to do this myself as well, the call down there and ask them like, hey, do y'all still have the birth certificate from, let's say, the 1900s? I want that one. Because they change things over time. And you just want to have it for like certain information. So once you got your copy of your birth certificate, you can chart your course. Chart your course is basically like going over the courses. You would take a test to, better understand how we got here from the beginning to now and where we at. Also, after you proclaim your nationality, you can join the assembly to help others. You will be walking as sovereign and need to carry yourself as a government. So like it's basically like killing your old self, your old habits of thing. Cause you will like, let's say if you have not started already creating new habits and say you have gotten this process, especially for the people who's out there paying other people to do the work for them, get the knowledge for self. Get the knowledge, because what you would do is you're going to constantly keep having to pay people to do things for you because you're not getting the knowledge yourself. Because if you end up doing something, you can put yourself back in the hole. I heard someone even got deported before. So you don't want them to be like, hey, let's deport her, to this nation or to Russia or anywhere.
Right. Definitely been hearing horror stories about people doing this incorrectly or not having the knowledge prior to the actions and just being quick to act without the mind behind it. And it does backfire. So you guys, I know y'all want to get to the part where you can start paying for things. A lot of these, profits out here are selling more so the social security part of this than they're selling you have to change your lifestyle, you have to change your mindset, you have to study, you got to learn why this even happened to begin with, because that's like a really big puzzle piece that I have in my mind. Like, how did all this even begin? Because I don't recall there ever being a time where this was a government. They came over here as companies. This was the British company, different companies of British that came over here. And even prior to that, when we get into like Roman times, like those were companies. Even the Roman was a company. That Roman Empire, they had like company things they were doing. So like I don't fully get the gist of that. It's like this big missing puzzle piece in my head, and I know once I get this piece, it's gonna be like, oh, because that's how all the other pieces have been, in my journey. Me personally, I'm a knowledge hoarder. I'll hoard knowledge before I act on things. So I'm like the polar opposite of that type of energy, which is just as toxic. But yeah, all that to say, you guys make sure you're really studying this and you know what you're doing prior to doing it, because a lot of people out here are just marketing the part that people need, people really want to have, and that's the paying my bills off and owning houses, owning land and things, but not fully ready to adopt the behaviors that have to come with it. And if you're doing this
Ready
with
to
the same
dismiss the government,
mindset,
period.
exactly, and if you do this with the same mindset you had prior to doing this, you're going to get yourself in trouble because your energy is still the same.
And that's why it's good to knowledge, because you have some people who want to do this, but they cannot even control themselves in the courthouse, because it's going to be about how you come at these people, especially like after you even become sovereign and you start walking in equity, trying to discharge some things and going to these courthouse trying to present some things. Like even in the book, it tells you in one of the books, like someone put UCC prejudice the dash on there. He didn't even know what it was for. So the judge asked him and he couldn't even tell. I think he said he thought it was like a racist thing, and it messed him up, and he was liable for the fee, for the fine. So you can easily also mess yourself up in the courthouse. I will say this. If you're dealing with like any civil matters like traffic tickets, let's say the police pulled you over for not having your seatbelt or you was driving fast, and you know how like they give you a ticket and they say, well, court is on this day. You want to freeze that court date. You want to freeze that court date, get into the right jurisdiction. You want to get into common law, Supreme Court, common law, land jurisdiction. On the record, for the record, make sure that it is recording. Because if you in a C jurisdiction and they not recording, them judges can say anything. They can say anything. So you have to make sure you are in the right jurisdiction. Even take some time and just go to the courthouse and sit in. This how it becomes natural to you, so you will know what to look for. You will hear the words that they saying, and then that's how you do your homework. Sometimes you have to go to these places. Sometimes I just go to the hospital just because they don't know what I'm there for, but because looking at these terminology and how they presenting things and how it's all orchestrated. You go to the courthouse and you don't know nobody there. That's nobody business. Just sit down and just listen and do your homework. Bring some words with you so you can see for self how it's done, and listen to the words that the judge is saying, that the clerk is saying. You have to let these judges know the government they are to work for us, not we work for them. It's just backwards right now. We are the creditors, they are the debtors. When the trustee, we are gifting them these things. Bonds, they work with, like, I don't want to say Federal Reserve notes, because that's what that is. It's a primary notes. That means the government is paying you back. The government is promising to pay you back. So they deal with things like money order. You're going to have to learn how to redo your address again, because there's a certain way a national write their address out versus how you write your address. It's your whole orchestra, your whole being, your whole life. It's like you a baby learning to walk again. You crawling and you learning to walk again, because you are now being a just person. Justice is just like a person within nature. Everything that they doing, they going against nature. They're going against the natural state. No matter if the natural state of mind, natural state of well-being, the climax, no matter what it is, they're doing everything in their willpower to go against nature. The whole orchestra of the law. I even looked at it like this. Before law, what was it? We had the ancient Kemetic ways, which was civilized. But also you have some people that be like, well, you can do whatever you want to do, even if you want to run outside nude and naked, as long as you do not hurt or infringe another human being. You are free to do whatever you want. That's the freedom you're looking for. You got some people that be like, oh, we're never getting up out of this. We never getting into it. That because you don't want to educate yourself. That because you do not want to sit there and give yourself the knowledge and to understand. Then you got people who will sit there and hear you, but they won't listen, and they'll block you out because what they already been programmed. You just got some people that's set in their ways. You got some people that's on medication and mentally messed up, so they're not going to hear you. You have to talk to the ones that's listening, and they'll respond back. But this is, besides the temple, another way you can proclaim, start to get into your nationality, correct the status. I don't even like using that word, because now we're just taking ownership of our straw man and getting it within our trust. They do have courses out there. They do have, like, where you can join private groups. Like I said, if you want that information, just find me on Facebook, National Powerhouse. I message that to you.
Yes, sis. If you could just send me the information. So you do now. I know in your group you share a lot of knowledge in the group, but you also said something about a weekly meeting.
I'm putting that up together. It will not be on Facebook, because,
Okay.
like I said, some things is just not for certain platforms. So, because I also have in a vibe group as well, that's like almost 1,000 people in there because I've been like in my courses as well too. I'm like I have to update my certifications in certain areas. So like I'm also taking classes for certain things, but I'm trying to figure out which app I honestly want to use. Another platform that's private that have some features, so I can start my weekly thing on there. So that's why I said in the group I'll be shifting.
Okay.
That group right there that I do have is terminology, definitions, giving knowledge of the words, what to look for, where to go, a broad like understanding. I do a lot of PDFs. These are things, some things that I do share is I could say it's not reachable. Like you could just go in your library or your Barnes and Noble and grab it off the shelf. You know,
Mm-hmm.
some things that I do put in my group do come from people that's already a national and they are helping thousands of people. So I'm not going to put nothing in there to mislead you off into something else. Some of my things may not sound right because certain ways that I have to word things and hopefully one will grasp. So I try to put it in the most simplest term, in the most simplest way, and hope someone take heed to it and go search the information for themselves. So I do put information in there as well. What I like to call myself is like I am a divine resource guide. People don't know where to go to. I can connect you there. I can get you there. I'm not going to say I'm the person that have all the answers. Come to me. I'm going to grab your hand and walk you the way. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you like that. That's not me. But I will say I have connects. I have connection with people that will get you there. That's genuine to me that I know. Dealing with legalist term dealing. That's why I do like even when I put in my group, I say I am partnered with a company, you know, that help people beat cases with criminal and civil, no matter if it's murder cases, no matter if it's, you know, traffic tickets from lawsuit to divorce. Yes, we help beat all cases. You know, I give that information over. It's like you get being connected to divine energy, divine force, tapping in. People don't know where to go and where to look for. Some people charge for this information. They want $1 on every information, and that's not what it's about. It's about we supposed to be connecting and helping one another. We trying to go back to how it was, trade and commerce. How can we get there or back to there if everybody keep putting a dollar sign on something? You know, every people want to charge you $1,000 for a 5-minute information. So what I do is I connect you to them sources. I connect you to the source where you need to be. If I get it, you're gonna have it. And
And
I
I
want
also appreciate the fact that even though a lot of us come from the more science background, it's not just Moors that can stake claim because there are, respectfully, there are Aborigines that don't feel a connection to that lineage of history. We went through that actually in previous episodes. We had an episode called From
yeah,
Mobiles to Niggas, where we talked about the lineage in the Bible and the story of Lot and everything in between. Going all the way back. We made it all the way back to Absu and Tiamat, the first couple of verses in the Genesis chapter
Mm-hmm.
1. And there's a lot of people that don't identify with that lineage because there's so much, riffraff and remixing and wordplay in the Bible. It's just that connection's not there. So thank you for showing us a way to do this without, going the route of having to join a temple and things like that. Because, like you said, it's of self, being self-master, that's important.
I tell people like this because you don't want to keep having to put yourself in a box. And you have some people to say,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh no, you this, you that." You cannot tell me who I am first off. Just because spirit must told you that don't mean spirit told me that. I like to look at everybody as their own sun ray. We all if you want to go off, how can you say, okay, well, in this realm of life, We all is this, and this just what it's gonna be. But how you gonna say that? But then you say, well, I'm Gemini and I come from this planet. You get what I'm saying? So you can't say everyone come from that. We were everywhere on the landmass. We were everywhere. If you look into the Old Testament, we migrated places. This was all of ours. There wasn't no such a, you had a person who tapped into the divine and found out how they can control people's minds and then say, oh, I could control a whole group of people. And if I could control a whole group of people, then hey, I could set laws and I can do this and I can do that. So I looked at it because when I went into the temple, you get people religion, and I look at it like, well, I used to be religion, but then I stepped out of religion because there was a lot of spiritual things that was just going on with me that I'm like, it's deeper than just religion. And then I learned that religion is just to bind you to obey. That's just like if you look into Ephesians 6 and it say, children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. First off, we already know that children mean ward of the state. We already know that parent mean a company, a corporate. You know what I'm saying? We go to church to listen. The pastor's supposed to be the God. And you listen to the God, landlord. If you're paying rent, you the tenant, you have a landlord, Lord of the Rings. So it's like they use different words for each techniques, and if one don't study, if one don't know the knowledge or whatever like that, it's easy to get over on a person. So once you become knowledgeable and aware of these things, you can start operating it within your life. But
Can we camera work with that a little bit? I heard you say the word Lord. Now, if you think about like in the Bible, they do have a period of time where the Lord is written in all capital letters versus it's one period like in certain parts of the Bible where it's just a capital letter. Is that the same science as like what you were saying about our names, how they're written?
I would say that, but more into, if you want to look at the depths of the Bible, is dealing with fear. That's just like if they put on the news, they say, oh, we in a national debt, and they put it in all capital. You will look at that and you will fear. Just like when everybody would say, oh, store your food this year. Or like I say, like in the millennium, when they said that the world was supposed to end it, they put words in caps for you to see and make it look like it's a state of an emergency for you to panic. Just like they came out with COVID. And jack the numbers up, and they was putting it on there as in all caps to fear the people, for people to run and go take the vaccine. The demon juice is what I like to call it. So certain things like that have to deal with fear tactics within a state of the mind. It's just like they use chakra colors on restaurants, on shoes and clothes, So if you learn how the chakra go and align it, then you will start seeing these things everywhere you go. And then you will start learning more. Like even I took courses for insurance, and that's how I know about the policies. So like now when I watch certain movies, I be like, oh, I know what they talking about. Wow, it's crazy. It's crazy, but it's enlightening because now you have the knowledge and and you understand. So I just don't want people to think that, oh, when I say like wars, because we are of a nation is like one whole big part, and then you have the continent, and then inside the continent you have the country of. But see, where we had tribes and villages, they took that away from us and now call us the United States. If you actually look, they overseas from us. How y'all letting someone that don't even live here create businesses on the land? If you look at the maps, and I tell anybody this, go read the maps. The maps will tell you a lot. The maps will. If you look back into the 1400, the 1600, how the maps was written out then, it will actually tell you a lot of the Old Testament and the New Testament when it comes to political, with some of this legal stuff that's going on today. It would tell you geographical location, where things was at, these names. Because if you're just looking at it, a lot of people looking at these titles, and that's how we getting messed up, because they keep renaming things and keep renaming things and keep renaming things. But I just want people to know they don't have to bind themselves in a box. Not all people will go that way, because I know they had things like, oh, if our ancestors come back and see us, they wouldn't recognize us because we don't have our turbans on. Well, if I have to go back to Genesis on you and let you know how they was naked until they bit the apple from the tree and then put fig trees around them once they knew that they was naked, because like they say, they want to say in the Bible they ate the apple and became knowledgeable and seeing that they was naked and covered themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So we born naked.
Mhm.
We wasn't born with cloth on. They clothed us. They colonized us. You have to know your true nature. We was Indians. We was running around. They said we needed to be civilized. If you want to put it this way, them pale people, they 6 eat their beans. Them Africans, they 9 eat their beans. People here on this land and soil in America, we was like telepathic. 13 eat their beans. That's why when the Colombian came over here, they seen us pointing to the stars. We was a sign language. We could read the trees. We could read the nature. We could read the stars, the moons. We was a telepathic people, being able to read other people. And I know some people see it in movies and stuff like that. If you're looking back in certain sitcoms and movies and stuff like that. I mean, look at the Invader, the Avatar, I meant to say. They just put us in these things and paint these images and things, and people don't believe it because they look at it as cartoon. That's just like the Bible, how the stories was going with Noah and Moses and stuff like that. But when you start learning about like this one right here, I be telling people, I walked into the gas station a couple days ago and I was like, winter solstice had died. I cannot wait till Son of God return. The boy looked at me and said, well, what do you mean? And the guy that was behind me was like, he said something. So the lady was like, who? And she was standing there listening. And she thought I was talking about Jesus. And I was like, well, no. If you look in the Bible or the Quran or Torah, it tells you that that name Jesus was a name that was given, but was given a depiction of a man within that time. Some people call him Yahweh, Yahshua. And that guy was like a Dr. Sabies, I want to say. What he did, if you notice, even with these people, John the Baptist, anybody, they went to Egypt to get their teachings. And then when they got their teachings, which what we call today in the modern world courses, when they got their teachings, what they do, they fast for 21 days, meaning detoxing. And they was battling within the mind. That's why on the movie Passion of Christ, they show you Jesus with the serpent or whatever. And he said, he talking about thou shalt not test you. And he was asking him questions and stuff. And he was like being tempted. Well, people don't know about the Kundalini. They don't know about the 33 vertebrae of your spine that goes up. So you don't want to just bind yourself to something. You extraterrestrial. How are you sitting here talking about, oh, I'm this, but then saying you a God? God create all, the creator of all. You create, you have babies. You give life. You give life. You can do multiple things. So you don't want to have someone just buy you and say, this is who we are because of this. No, you have to understand who is the fallen angels. And then you got to understand who was the humans. And that's where we at. Who was the fallen angels and who was the humans? Because you got some people saying it was them. Then you got some people that saying Enoch. I mean, I want to say the elves. If you go back into them, Enlil, Intel, they want to give the story of Abe and Cain, where one of the brothers killed them, but it was actually Enlil. One of them got jealous and things in that nature and wanted to rule a world for itself. And it's the world that we live in. And people cannot see that. It tells you in Genesis. And they had kids. Japhethai, all them kids that they was having, them kids had kids. That was the beginning. I tell people, I said, look, y'all gotta split it in half. The New Testament, it gave y'all, even though they put it indigenous, they put, I want to say, Denzel Washington on the scene, and they made the Book of Eli. But if you break it down, he lies. He lied, right? He lied about a lot of stuff. It was the rewritten of the new world, the modern world, the new testimony. That's what that movie was about. The old world was destroyed and the new world was becoming again. And the book was only for who had eyes and ears to hear and see. That's why the book was only for Denzel Washington and the man wife up in the movie who was blind. Only they was able to see. And he went there, and who he was sitting in front of, a pale-faced man, rewriting the history, which is us today, the modern world. So I do this. I go in because I'm like, no, you're not going to tell me that's the only way. That's like a person saying that's impossible. You don't know what's impossible. A lot of things are possible. A lot of things are possible. There's DNA. Even cancer is a DNA cell that can be activated. So we have so many DNA cells and particles inside of us we don't even know because we programming our mind with television. We programming our mind with all the stuff that's going on in the world. Then you got family problems. Then the food that you eating. It's just so much. If you just take all that noise and just put it over there and just humble self and humble the voices that you hear and tune and turn everything off and just silent. Even if you have to go on a fast and practice on being silent, you will start hearing more from the spirit versus from man and flesh. Not telling anybody, don't trust everybody. You know, it tells you in the Bible, don't trust men. You don't supposed to trust men. You're supposed to trust the spirit in man. A lot of people trust the flesh in man. And this is why we are where we are, because you trust in the flesh in man and not trust in the spirit within man. We supposed to operate and live within our spirit, not our flesh. So I just want to sit here and
That's
get
a whole word right there, because a lot of people use our skin folk, especially women. Every time they want to market something, whether it's a new vaccine, a medicine, they fast food stuff, they can't wait to get an Aboriginal woman on their commercials for their clothes, for, you know, whatever political movement they doing, as long as they got, you know, Aboriginal woman by them sides. Like Trump had these two Aboriginal church women singing songs and embarrassing themselves and acting all goofy for him. You know, the vaccination was an Aboriginal woman saying we tested it on this, that, and the third. You know, McDonald's, you had Mary J. Blige singing songs about chicken nuggets. Like they always do that. That's why you cannot, like you just say, you cannot fall for what's on the outside of man at all. You gotta look at the spirit, because the spirit will take away this whole mindset of racism. Racism was created to get you stuck on flesh. It was literally to get you stuck on flesh. Like you can't see past skin. That'll automatically make you tune someone out or tune someone in, and then get offended or internalize stuff or have a stronger opinion than you would if it was somebody that didn't look like you. You know, this, that, and the third. Like all that stuff is so intentional, so intentional. Um, this was a really good talk, and I really appreciate you coming and sharing so much knowledge that you did with us. If you would like, you know, whatever links and stuff, if you could just share them with me in my inbox so that I could post them as captions underneath, you know, whatever, you know, label the stuff you want me to put as caption, label the stuff you want me to keep private, and wait for someone to personally come to me, and then I'll share them that, and that'll be great. So again, you guys can message me on Facebook or Instagram. Y'all know where to find me. Let's Nobody's Business LLC or Sunshine Monet L on Facebook, you know, to get more information. And Denise, could you tell everybody where they could find you, and just some last minute words and messages you got for us before we close on out?
Yes, y'all can find me on F Denise Davis. That's my original profile. Also, I do have another one I have not been on in a while called Pure Divine, I want to say, because I have not been on there in a while. But I do have two groups. So one of my groups, as you know, like if you look in, I used to own a beauty supply store, but I looked in beauty even more deeper. You know, you could be beautiful on the outside, but not beautiful. So what I did was created a group. It's called Inner Vibe Beauty Hub, and you can find me there. In Inner Vibe Beauty Hub, basically, that is just like If you want to learn about Reiki healing, Yoni steaming, I'm a certified chakra practitioner, a herbalist. So if you detoxing or trying to heal from certain elements in your life, that's the group to go to. We talk about natural skin care, face care. So it's like a lot of things in that group. My second one is like what we discussing today as far as like political, legal. You will go to National Powerhouse, and within that, that's where I draw up a lot of information as far as like finance. If you have business and you looking for grants, I can connect you to people with that. Yep, that's the group. So this group right here is your whole well-being. And like I said, you could be pretty with lashes, you know, clothing. You could be a wolf in sheep clothing, but it's all about the spirit. So, like in here, I share a lot of things that goes on with health, your whole well-being, from, you know, like I said, things that you consume, the foods that you eat, to your mental, to like just different things that have to deal with your whole mental state, because your whole mental state is your whole environment. So I do have some people that do share information in there. I will be going over like Reiki, spiritual baths, Yanni steaming, a whole lot of other things. Right now, I'm just in the midst of building the audience. And my other one is, like I said, a national powerhouse. I
This is
also
you
share.
gotta link with Danielle, sis, because you know Danielle has the body and yoni company. She makes the yoni pearls and all the little things you put in the yoni steam. She make really good soaps and stuff.
I wanted to start like in that one go live.
Yes,
Like you know how like people be making them fly, like how you did with mine, but it'd be like 3-4 people. That's why I said like if anyone want to go live in my groups, message me. You can put some things together, because I was in a whole lot of other groups and I seen the commotion and stuff. So just to keep things at peace and at its highest, you know, to respect each other's spaces, instead of people just coming there and get to dropping anything, commenting on people's stuff, cold messaging
Mm-hmm.
people. To keep all that noise away, I just say, hey, if you got a business, message me. If you want to go live, message me. You know, because I
right.
mean, we learning stuff new every day. So I'm not like Miss Cleo sitting on the ball saying, hey, I'm elite and I know it all and I got all the answers. But I am connected to a lot of I want to say powerful people that I can connect you with, because a lot of people don't know where to go, or they get stirred in a wrong way, like the pastor that mislead the members in the church, or you got some people that's out here scamming, and they'll take your money, but won't give you the right information that you need, or they will half step it. And I just feel like that's not right. It's time that we wake up and actually start saving souls and saving people's lives like we are here to do. Everybody have their own little purpose. No matter if you a cook and you cook, you know, cook for the homeless. You know what I'm saying? If you do hair, you know, do one of them days like I see, like where people that have alopecia, if they can't get to the herbs that they need, you know, if you do hair, take a day out your week, out your company, and say, anybody with alopecia, I'm doing free hairstyles. You know, make others feel good. We supposed to give back to nature, and how do we do that is taking care of the human beings and the animals that was put forth here before us, that we supposed to came down here and watch over. But you know, they kill, eat, and destroy and destruct and do everything against them what we supposed to be doing. I tell anybody, if you want to make it to the highest place, they say like up in heaven is on earth. So what they mean is by that, heaven on earth is you living within your highest form on earth. What do heaven look like to you? You create that
Right.
heaven on earth. Because honestly, if we're made of energy, when you die, you're just going to go back to stardust. And the spirit is just going to transcend. You will be reincarnated, or you might be in Mars. You might be on Jupiter. You never know. So I just look at it like this. take what you can and learn from your lessons and do not make the same mistakes. Come back to land and soil, come back home, repent your debts and your debtors.
Mm-hmm.
Start living within your highest form and your highest self. I'm not saying it's gonna happen overnight. I'm not gonna say it's gonna, you know, you gonna it's gonna be a year and then poop, everything is just like that. This is a life journey. I tell anyone, it's a life
Mm-hmm.
journey. So don't expect your whole life to change within a year or 2 years, because you could think your life changed in 4 years and 8 years down the line. You can meet someone new that pulled a cell up out of you that triggered you, that you didn't even know that trauma that you had, because it done happened so long ago you forgot about it. It just took the right person to pull it up out of you. So you a work in progress every day. I see a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm woke, I'm healed, and I'll be like, just dealing with your Facebook and the things that you post can tell. You know, you have a lot of people that's living within their highest, that's egotistic. Look at the elites. They have our power. They know the hand mudra. So I'm just telling one, it's time that we do come back home. It's time you do being sovereign and governing over yourself, guarding your food, prepare for what's yet to come, you know, rack up on water, herbs, seeds, flashlights, whatever it is, because you just never know. Start getting out there in the community for the ones who do want to participate, and start building something within your communities. This is me, F. Denise Bay, or F. Denise Davis. You can find me a National Powerhouse for any legal matters, politics, correcting your status of your birth certificate, getting into your trust, your estates, discharging credit if you're looking for grants, if you self-employed, or if you are looking for any type of work. I am connected. On the flip side, if you're looking to heal yourself and you're going through any sickness or diseases or ailments, dealing with bronchitis, asthma, cancer, diabetes, or anything in that nation, inflammation, headaches, no matter what it is, you can catch me in my other group. That's my main profile. I do say you have your space in my other group, though. The Beauty Hub, that's you. I like to see the real spirit versus the, I want to say, like they say, government spirit. Because we have government names, but you know, you can make up your name. Just
The
live alone.
Beauty
You don't
Hub.
hurt nobody and don't harm nobody. Be yourself. Be your authentic self, is what I would say. And as far as like this whole thing with um the religion part, or like with people now claiming themselves to be Israelites, Hebrews, Moors, and things in that nature, find what your womb say and your heart say and your spirit say. Call on your spirit guides. Everything on this earth is not for everybody. So what's worked best for you, do for you. I will say that, because I don't want no one to think and feel that they have to be bind or tied down to something. That's just like, that's why they call it relationships. Anything with a ship at the end have to deal with a Dead Sea. So we have relations with people, you know. So I will say that. I will end it with that. Be yourself, be your authentic self, get knowledge, speak, listen to the gut. Listen to the gut, listen to your spirit guides. Get connected to the divine source. Stop fearing these people, these humans. I like to call them human with costumes. I have to remind myself, and I see a police officer, because you know when you're driving and you see them lights, it's like this adrenaline just go through you. No, once you start creating habits and thoughts in your head like these just humans in costumes,
Yep.
you will start feeling a little better driving on the road. Like, I know you're human. When you get off work, you're taking that costume off and you attending to your family. Same way with these
Mm-hmm.
celebrities. It's
It's a
just
play
as
on them
long as,
chakras though when them lights start to flash and stuff.
right,
Yeah.
red and blue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So just realign yourself, and I'll be the first to tell you, get you some crystals, some frankincense, some mirror, some book, some mug work, whatever, you know. It's time we go back into our original ways where we were stripped from, the
Right.
power that we once
Yes,
held.
indeed.
Get into ancient commit ways, not religion. Ancient commit ways, ancient committed ways. They like to call Egyptian style now. So yes, y'all can find me on those sites, and we all one day gonna be walking into freedom at last. They say we
I
will
know
never
that's
be
right.
free, but we are here. We
Right.
are here.
Thank you so much, Denise, for coming on. I appreciate all
All
the knowledge
right.
that you given, all the information that you shared, that you could share with us. It was a lot. It really was. And yeah, I'm ready to start my journey ASAP.
For real, I'm excited about this class you got coming. We over
Mm-hmm.
here. We're gonna help you manifest this with our energy. Like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
excited for it. I love how
Mm-hmm.
excited you are with sharing the knowledge and everything. It's just like it's really, really dope and a breath of fresh air to be around someone that just like I really just want y'all to learn. Because I always said that, in
Right.
my journey, I've been studying this for a couple years now. When I was in college, I can go back even further than that. Being in high school, middle school, high school, I grew up in a Methodist church. And anybody that doesn't know, Methodist church is a nation. They literally move like a sovereign nation. They're separate from the United States and everything like that. It's a privatized space. And the United Methodist churches are connected to one another. So like I already had knowledge of that, seeing how they move and how they operate, in alignment with, with the other churches and all this different stuff. So I already had knowledge of that. And when I was in college, I was learning how to open up my own church, with the same kind of mindset as the churches I grew up in, but I just didn't share those core values that they had in the Methodist church. It was just like little pieces that was missing. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna figure out how to do this myself. Well, like some odd years later, hitting my 30th year, I started running into the Moorish Science Temple and USAR and the Moorish American Consulate and all that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys are doing what I've been talking about since college. This is crazy. Like, I got excited, but I was disheartened by a lot of the energy I kept running into when it came to sharing knowledge. It's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of gatekeeping with the knowledge. It's a lot of, oh, well, pay me this, and if you can't pay me this, you're not worthy of the knowledge, or you're not serious about the knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Or
You want
I
to
would
stay
join
broke.
these
They love
right,
some of that.
or I would join these groups that were already on grade 12, and here I am,
Mm-hmm.
I know that I'm further than first grade because this is something I've been doing for so long, but I don't even know where I'm at. I don't know how much I
Mm-hmm.
know. I don't know how far I am in this journey. And you got these 12th graders just talking in circles around me, okay, her laptop just died. Ooh, I'm so serious.
It's all cool.
We got you, sis. It's all good.
Thank you.
Just going into these spaces and everything, and just getting disheartened by the energy that I'm receiving in return, different reasons telling me no, 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 and then having these people talking circles around me like I'm not in the room. Like, it's like y'all not teaching, y'all building. And I love that y'all building, but don't bring me into this group if y'all not teaching. I'm not ready to build. I'm still trying to learn, or at least figure out what I know and don't know. So to, meet a goddess that's really here because, like, this is something she's passionate about, and, just
Mm-hmm.
passionate about sharing the knowledge and stuff. I always said, once I get to that point where I can teach it, everybody that come to me is gonna be good. I promise y'all gonna be good. I'm gonna present that shit every week the way I do the planetary forecast. I ain't lying.
Okay.
Like, I always spoke that into existence. Like, once I get to this point, everybody finna be good. But
Oh yeah.
it's so dope to meet like a soul that's already there. That's fire. This was a great episode, Danielle.
It was.
Another great
I didn't
one.
even have. We didn't even have to ask any questions because we were trying to figure out what
Right,
questions we
covered
need to
everything.
ask. Came on and just did the rundown on everything, and I was like, and see, I manifested that we was gonna have to lay back and chill because I didn't have nothing to ask. Okay, she really gave us the details, and the resources. Okay,
Yes,
so
and I
I'm
love that.
satisfied. I'm so happy, and I love her spirit, and I'm just so happy to came into alignment with her. And I thank you, sis, for putting me on the right track with her. Hey.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, I'm always here for the divine alignments. You know how much I love putting people together. It's my favorite thing to do. But this was awesome, you know, and I also, you know, a lot of stuff that she was saying was clarification that you know, I don't know if you guys know that, but like the order of our episodes was not an intentional. Like we kind of just put them in order this way because it just sound good. Like,
Oh
you know,
yeah.
the way the episodes have just been flowing has been amazing. I'm very
Yeah.
excited for this season of Virgo Virgin Talk. You have no idea.
Oh yeah.
This has just been awesome. For all my podcasters out there that would like to interview myself and Danielle, we're open for interviews.
We are always open. Come on our
We are
show. We'll
always
come on your
open.
show. And
Yeah, come on
whatever.
our show. We'll come on yours. We
Yeah,
love to
yeah.
share.
Come to our land over here, the L's, the land of the L's. I gotta get my L's on my lane. I gotta get my name fixed.
Yeah, and you know, it's already written in your stars because your name is Danielle.
Yeah, it's right. It's right there. Maybe I'm gonna change it to Danny L. Boom. There you go.
I like that. Boom.
Yeah, I like it too.
That was cool. For those of you guys who missed out, you know, you guys can always check this episode on YouTube, Virgin Talk. It's also on Facebook, Virgo Virgin Talk. You know, y'all will be getting bombarded with reels throughout the week on all the parts that, you know, I can't even the reels of the season have been so difficult to pick because I just want to post the whole episode. Like y'all just watch the whole episode. Y'all is missing out on a lot of knowledge.
Just give them a little taste. A little taste.
You're right. We really been putting out a lot of knowledge. The first season of Virgo Virgin Talk, and especially this season of Virgo Virgin Talk. If y'all need to binge watch these episodes, I'm telling y'all, you know, even if we don't give you the
fall asleep on them.
Looking for, yes, I'll be watching them.
Sit up late at night. After every episode, I go back and I review our episodes every time, and I end up, and then I'll go and look at it. You know, say it might not be in the same day. I'll go back and continue to what we were talking about. But I have watched every episode, you guys. Okay, now I done recorded the episode, and I have watched every episode, so I know you can too.
You can do it. We believe in you. But that's it. This is the end of our Saturday night. We ain't gonna hold y'all too much longer. We love y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in.
Subscribe. Yeah, share, and subscribe.
Subscribe. Make sure y'all do that. Make sure y'all click the little bells next time y'all see the live pop up. We out here.
Ding, ding,
every Saturday, y'all.
Every Saturday.
Yep.
We've been doing good every Saturday. Well, except for that one Sunday, but every Saturday.
Yep. We've been doing real good. So y'all tap in.
Peace.
And what's the episode for next Saturday?
Oh, the next. Oh, let me look that up. Hold up now. You know, I don't be knowing. I just be like, oh, that's what it is. Gotta go look again. Much as I have posted it, you would think I would remember, but I don't.
Right.
The next episode shall be drum roll. Flat Earth versus round Earth. Yeah, I can't wait to get into this.
I can't wait to get on that one.
It's the episode we've been waiting for too. We done talked about sovereignty. Now we're moving on to changing our thoughts about how the Earth is really shaped. We may even have some folks on here, you know, do a little battling, you know, it's a battle of the flat earthers and the round earthers. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be a little fun. I like that. Whose side you on, sis? You on the round earth or flat earth side?
It depends on what people are defining flat earth as, because the whole Christopher Columbus definition, that's dusty.
I don't even know that one. I gotta look it up.
When they were like, oh, when you get to the end of the map, you're just gonna fall off.
Oh, yeah.
That's dumb.
Yeah, they came up with that shit themselves. After they heard that someone else said that the earth was flat, and that was their philosophy after that. Like, oh hell no. No, we gotta keep spinning in circles. You gotta keep going in a circle. Ain't no way.
Yeah. It's weird. You know, the way our eyes are set up, our eyes automatically provide curvature to things that would not be curved without our eyeballs doing that.
So look at our eyeballs. Our eyeballs are curved.
Yeah, they got cones in them. So yeah, I get a lot of that. I can't wait to get into this episode because I would like to get definitely into the science of like the 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 argument they use with the motion of light and stuff. So, that's gonna be a great episode. If you guys know anybody that wants to come on here, we don't debate here. We share knowledge. This is not a space of debate. This is not Jose Sanchez YouTube page. We come here and we share knowledge. And if we disagree, we agree to disagree.
Right.
This is a place of respect. This is a very mature space. If y'all don't know nothing about Virgos, we don't tolerate no mess. Don't tolerate no mess. So you can't bring no mess here.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't do that here.
I do kind of want to set up like a little round, like ding, ding, ding. First round of facts for the flat earthers.
Yes.
And like that. Friendly
friendly dialogue. Keep your ego off of the StreamYard. Yeah. I do have the power to remove you from the stream, and I will do it. But if you are interested in being on this episode, please, we would love to have you. Yes, there is a page called Auntie Tatiana who we talked about her the last episode, I believe. Beyond the Ice Wall is that's the book. She talks about it extensively on her YouTube page. But yeah, I'm very excited to get into that Beyond the Ice Wall and all that fun stuff.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna let y'all know because I'm ready to. I gotta move my body around. I've been sitting still for too long, and what happens with my leg is it gets stiff and it hurts. So I've been in pain for the last 45 minutes. So I gotta get out of here. I love y'all.
Yeah, I gotta get out of here too. Love you. Peace.